Do do do, theme song. Do do do, I'm broke so this is my theme song. Do do do, just imagine this is an awesome theme song. Do do, theme song. Left of the box. Hello, welcome to Left of the Box. Bonjour, bienvenue. I'm Sandy, and sitting right here is Lanier. Oh, say hi to everyone. Say hi. Crabby orange kitty. Crabby orange. Here we go. Crab apple orange? No, crab orange kitty. Hey. There we go. There. You just sit right there. You just sit right there. There we go. No, there, down. Okay. Welcome, everyone, to this Monday evening live stream. There was just a lot of news yesterday I couldn't get to. So far in the SandBox, we have a Looney Tunes 9000 in Big Jerry. Hello. Thank you for coming out. I know this is an odd time of stream for me, and I have a cat butt in my face right now. He does this. He likes his butt up in the air. Yes. No. Question mark tail. It's like a shark, but a cat butt. Are you going to... Don't moon the camera again. He's mooned the camera before. Anyway, yeah, so I was tired yesterday, so I didn't get to all 5 hours worth of my live stream. Instead, I just did 4 and then a whole bunch of chit chat. But I still had some very important stories I wanted to get to, so I decided to do a second stream today to cover those important stories. But of course, in the past weekend, shit has hit the fan. So I have a lot more updates and stuff on what's happening in Iran right now too. So this will be a shorter live stream than I normally do, which I'm fine with. I'm exhausted. But it's not going to be as short as I was hoping. Because I've been busy. Went back to the gym this morning. Yeah, it's turning into a routine. Fingers crossed. Get into shape. Get some muscle. And get the TYT essay done. I worked on it today. I'll be working on it all day tomorrow. So the sooner I get that done and off my plate, the better I'll feel. It is driving me insane. And part of the reason why is it's taking forever. It's like, oh, I need to go check on something. And then I check on something. I'm like, well, shit. There's a lot more to that because let's see, why don't I just pull it up on screen? Not that one, this one. Let's go here. I remember this video here and I wanted to check on something, and then I was checking on it. I started listening to some of this and it's like, oh, this is from let's see, it was from June 20th of last year. They're talking about the potential of the United States attacking Iran. And Jenks kind of dismissing it. Saying, oh, his base won't go for it and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, I need to rewatch this now for context. Oh, it's a lot. I'm just slowly plugging away at this essay. The sooner I get it done, the better. And could I get a thumbs up in the SandBox? Make sure that my audio and visual is doing okay. You are my unofficial producers, and I appreciate it greatly. And I can pay you in kind thoughts. That's all I have right now. Some kind thoughts. If only the world worked on that currency, it would be a much better place. Yeah, people are just trickling in. My live stream yesterday actually did really well. Like during it, I usually only get about 20 viewers at any given time, but it has over 700 views. And I don't, if for whatever reason, suddenly I'm getting like a bazillion views on a live stream, can people like alert me in the SandBox, like if I break 100? Because that's a big number for me. Because I think I've only broken 100 twice, and it was because I was like dual rated. And then when I had Mike from the Humanist Report on, and we did a live stream, I think I broke 100 viewers then. But you know, eventually I'd like to be breaking that a lot more. Get a little bit more mainstream. I've contacted the 3 NDP candidates that have not talked to me yet. Again, see if they'll come on my show. Fingers crossed. That would be some good conversations. Some good conversations. Oh, but yeah, there's a lot to go over. Just waiting for people to trickle in. That's why I started a bit early, sort of. Because Looney Tunes is like, you started 3 minutes early. I hit the live 3 minutes early, but I still started right around 7 because when it's live, I think it pops up in people's recommends more often, especially those who watch my channel. So it kind of gives them a heads up. Some channels will leave like some sort of card like that up for like a half hour before they actually go live. I don't like leaving it up more than 5 minutes before I go live, even though there are wonderful little random cat meows in it. So just checking. Yes, and I still have Kitty on my lap. Normally it's Abernathy who wants to bug me as soon as I go live and he hears me talking, but Abernathy's been on my lap a lot today as I've been working. It's really awkward. He's heavy. I move around a lot. It's hard because I'm like typing like this, trying to avoid him. And oh my God, you're shedding like crazy too. I'm going to get this all on my makeup and it's on my pop can and everything. We're coming into the spring. Cats shed. They seasonally shed. And yeah. Poof. I don't know if you can see that. Cat fur all over the place. Why don't I give you a little bit of a brushing while you're sitting here? And we're waiting. There we go. You like this, don't you? You like this. I still have to figure out how to get him to stop biting. I don't like it. I don't like it. He bites. He licks a lot and then he'll bite. And it's not like a nice little playful love bite. It's like, you know, I'm going to hold on here until I potentially draw blood. So I need to figure out how to get him to stop doing that because I really don't like it. And he also likes trapping me on my bed first thing in the morning because as soon as he sees that I'm awake, he'll come and plop himself right here on my chest, his face right here in my face, preventing me from actually waking up and doing what I need to for today. Although it is still a cute way to wake up, having a cat on your chest. Isn't that right? Isn't that right? Oh. Okay, let's see. How are we for viewers? Let's see where we're at. Well, we're at about 11, so I suppose we can get started. Yeah, just let me know how everyone's doing. It's been a rough weekend. Worse for a lot of people around the world than us, but it's very stressful, straining, you know. I already saw the gas prices jump like 15 cents in my area. But I'm so worried about all the people in and around right now, what's happening to them in the Middle East in general, with all the attacks being launched back and forth. Somebody left a really long comment on my video yesterday, and I don't read all my comments. And if it's a novel, I'm not going to read it. I'm sorry. It's too much. Um, but the first lines were something about, I'm slowly getting into this, but what about the 7,000 that the Ayatollah killed and stuff, the protesters? And it's like, yeah, that's bad. That's really, really bad. And I've talked about it before. It's not good. Nobody is supporting that current regime, but I saw a tweet just before I got live that helps put it into frame too, is that a lot of people who are opposed to the Iraq war doesn't mean they were supporting Saddam Hussein. Like, I'm opposed to this war in Iran, but I also oppose the regime that they have in. I don't support that. Because, yeah, they killed probably well over 7,000 people. So bombing a school full of children, how does that make it better? How does launching Iran into a war with the potential of millions to die make it better? Because that might seem like a big exaggeration number, but really, there's over 90 million people in Iran. And if you look at Iraq throughout the entire time, so I'm not talking about like in the next year, but the fallout over the next 10 years and stuff, you could be looking at millions of people, because some of the estimates for Iraq is 1 million people died because of that war. Again, not just violent deaths that happened right at that moment, but consequences of some of the things that happened. It's, some people are just saying 100,000, but some estimates are as high as 1 million. And so now you have a country with 90 million, over 90 million people in it. And a whole bunch of countries with a whole lot of bombs. And it's just, I was hoping never to see this in my lifetime or have it never happen again in this world, but here we are. But yeah, I don't support the Ayatollah. I'm against human rights violations. It doesn't make what the U.S. and Israel doing okay in the slightest. But Looney Tunes, I wouldn't say they can go fuck themselves. The rest of the novel might have been balanced. I just saw the first few lines and I'm like, no, I'm not reading this. I'm not reading this. I have too much to do than to try to sit down and absorb that much writing from someone. I appreciate leaving comments, but when they're that long, I don't have the spoons to sit down, analyze, and then what? Respond to them in another novel. Like, the amount of time that takes out of my day and energy, and I don't like doing any sort of debates or back and forth through text on social medias, and I would include the chat section of my YouTube channel as a social media. It's not a very conducive place for conversation, because so much can get misinterpreted with writing, especially the way that I write. You can easily miss the sarcasm in how I write. Oh, Big Jerry, thank you. I really appreciate the comments that you put in there. It's very nice. But yeah, Looney Tunes, I was working on my essay today, and whoo boy, I think you're going to like it. If you are a fan of TYT takedowns, you're probably going to like this video when it's done. I just hope it's worth it. Oh my god, I hope it's worth it. It has just been a nightmare to work on, the whole thing. And once I get it all together and stuff and start editing it, because the thing is that it's taking so long that by the time, like at the point that I am now, I've forgotten a lot of the script I've put in the first part. So I have to, like, once it's all done, go over it a few times, make sure it's smoothed out, make sure I'm not repeating things, that sort of stuff. There will be probably a couple clips that get repeated but not too many. Most clips will be a one-time use. I have a TYT notes playlist that I put together, and it's the YouTube videos that I'm pulling from, like clipping from. And I'm putting them in the playlist, and when I make these videos, like when I publish the essays, I'll make that list public as well, so that people can go and fact check me, because I don't want anyone to accuse me of taking anything out of context. So they can feel free to go over that list and find the video and check to make sure that I did indeed put it in the proper context. I kept it in context. There's almost 200 videos in that playlist. I've seen all of them. Okay, to be fair, I did not watch the entire Lex Freeman video with Jank. That was like 4 hours long. So that one I just did a word search in, so I can't say I watched that one, but every other video on that list I've seen, some of them multiple times, and some of them I've pulled from multiple times. So there's multiple clips from some of these videos. And that's just the videos that I decided to clip from. There's lots more videos that I watched that I decided not to clip from. And there's lots of clips that came from sources other than YouTube. I am fucking insane. I am insane. Hello, Grand Theft Autobot. Hello from the hospital. I had a relapse, but I'm going home again Wednesday morning. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear about the relapse, and I hope you're feeling better soon. Hello, John Davis, on a Monday. Yes. I was saying that there was just too much news yesterday, so I had some overflow, because with all the nightmare stuff going on in Iran right now, there's still a lot of other stories that need to be paid attention to, especially what's happening to trans folks in Kansas. And so I had a docket of like trans related stories and stuff like that that I wanted to get to, that I was just too exhausted by the end of my stream to get to yesterday. So I wanted to do those today, but now I have another full docket of stuff on Iran that I also want to get to. So it's still going to be a couple of hours of live streaming today, and I could use a break. Because when I'm not prepping for these live streams, I'm working on the TYT essay in my time. But after this, I'll unwind by watching the Majority Report. Oh, Majority Report plug. Yeah, that will be my way of unwinding in the evening, is to watch that. Because while I'm working on the TYT essay, I can't watch it live because I'll get too distracted. And then I won't work on it. Hello, Carried Away. Welcome to the SandBox. Yeah. So, yeah. Just so much to go over. I really, really hope people appreciate the essay that I'm putting together, the essays, because it's going to be more than one. The amount of work and stuff, I really hope that people appreciate it. And I hope that people are just kind of blown away with all the clips and how I sourced them and found them and put them all together. Because yeah, it's been over a year now, and I need that done. I need it off my plate. But I was chatting to a friend today to try to figure out the order of operations of, all the stuff that I still want to cover. I just want to go to sleep. I'm also tired because I woke up early and still went to the gym early, so there's that. But why don't we actually start getting into it so that we can get this horrible news out of the way, and then if I feel like it, we can chit-chat at the end, or I can call it a night and go relax. Sit down on my couch, play some of my video games, as in some Spider Solitaire and Mahjong. And unwind playing those games while I watch the Majority Report. That sounds like a good evening. Oh, so let's see, get this ready. I have this book on the wrong way. You're hearing a lot of that because I propped this up on a book. This is the one of my before books, one of my edited books for Necroplasm, and those were all the changes and stuff that I was making. That I used to kind of prop this up a bit. Let's see. Grand Theft Autobot. A nurse taught me how to use the visitor Wi-Fi. Screw Doug Ford's $20 a day for internet. And I have a laptop here as well this time. Oh, that is very useful. Yeah, that would be good. Because I can manage being in a hospital if I had to be, as long as I had internet connection and my laptop, because you know, access to the YouTube and the games that I have on my laptop, music, Disney Plus and all that sort of stuff. I can manage, but if I didn't have internet, I would go stir crazy. Oh, hello, Bad Lefty. Welcome to the SandBox. Yeah, we're just getting into it. So, as I was saying, what's happening with Iran right now is just horrifying. The level of disaster this is going to be, the dismissal of Donald Trump saying, yeah, well, some people die. David Dole released a video just a little while ago that's worth a watch. And there's a comparison between Donald Trump and that king from Shrek saying, many of you will die for this, but it'll be worth it. And basically Donald Trump was saying the exact same thing, which is just, again, horrifying. And I agree with David Dole on something, because apparently there's this meme going around saying, unless barons, so barons should go to the war if there's, because of this. But I agree with David Dole. Donald Trump wouldn't care. He doesn't care. He would not care if his own 19-year-old son was enlisted into the military, if he was forced to go in. He wouldn't care. He doesn't have that level of empathy, so that would do nothing to him. Besides, bone spurs are probably genetic. Hello, hermetologist and Boku. So, yeah, just Grand Theft Autobot, but that game you like, Sandy, I think you'll have to go into your antivirus settings and set an exemption. I will have to try. I'm not that tech savvy. And I tried setting an exemption with some, I'll have to dig deeper because I really want to play that game more. Really, really want to play that game more. Oh my God, I'm so addicted to that game. I need to play that game. So, yeah. Difficult Truth is done. Well, hello, anyone who's swinging over here from Difficult Truth. Appreciate it. Yeah, so this is something that I've been worried about for a while, this whole attack with Iran, because even well before I was on doing my channel and there was the risk of it, I remember just being so anxious because I care about what happens to the people in a city I could never find on a map. Just because I can't find their city on a map doesn't mean I don't care what happens to them. Just because I don't speak their language doesn't mean I don't care about what happens to them. Just because I don't share their culture doesn't mean I don't care what happens to them. They're still human. And we can have a lot of disagreements on culture, on whatever. I don't care about that. They deserve to live their lives in peace. And watching this unfold, I don't think a lot of the younger folks in particular, the Gen Zers, are really prepared for what's about to happen. They haven't seen this type of thing before, and I don't really recall seeing much of it myself. This scale of warfare that we're about to enter into, it's, you know, we keep on thinking we're safe here in our islands, but we're safe from a lot of the worst of it, of course, but there could still be terrorist attacks. You know, what happens to our economy, and how that will put everyone here on a razor's edge, and short fuses and all that sort of stuff too. It's like there's ripple effects, and of course it's never going to be as bad here as it is in the Middle East. But it's, yeah. Scary stuff, scary stuff. So let's get into updates on Iran before I get into the docket that I had saved from yesterday. Make sure that I click on this screen before I click over here. There we go. Oh, no, that's not the screen that's supposed to pop up. I'm still getting used to using this. There we go. No, there. You will be seeing this later on, but now we're going to be seeing this. Okay. So Canadians for Justice and Peace in the Middle East had tweeted this out. Israel uses the war with Iran as an excuse to intensify starvation of Gaza, abandoning yet another pillar of the so-called ceasefire agreement. Yes, something that we need to keep our eye on, to make sure that we're still paying attention to, is the fact that now that the world is distracted with what's happening in Iran, Israel is going to intensify what they're doing to Gaza. Now that the world isn't paying so much attention to that because all eyes are on Iran, they'll use this moment to really, really make it difficult for the people in Gaza. So Chef Jose Andres says, we have been told that Gaza's borders are closed indefinitely. If they stay closed, I think that's World Kitchen? Let's see. Yeah, World Central Kitchen will run out of food this week. We are cooking 1 million hot meals every day. We need food deliveries every single day to feed hungry families who are not part of this war. All the NGOs in Gaza need more food, medicine, medical equipment, fuel, tents, personal care every day. We cannot wait. Let the humanitarian trucks go through today. Yeah. Now that I should follow the World Kitchen. There we go. Now that all eyes are on. Actually, who are you? Are you? I think I will follow you too. Now that all eyes are focused away on Iran, it's important that we make the effort to make sure that we're paying attention to what's happening in Gaza, that we don't let that story just go away, that we don't forget about the people in Gaza and their suffering. So here we have from Alexki, breaking news. An Iranian protester said, my family in Iran doesn't support the regime, but if there's one country Iranians trust less, it's their own government. It's America. Most Americans forget Iran's experiment with democracy ended with the U.S. intervention in 1953. So there are lots of people in Iran who did not like their oppressive regime government. They also despise what the United States is doing. And I think a lot of people who are being fed this war propaganda, again, they're not prepared for how much pushback they're going to get from the Iranians, because there's also people who did support the regime who are mad, and there are millions and millions of them. And then there are people who are against the regime but are also very anti-American. So I haven't actually watched this clip, but let's see what they have to say.
I'm Iranian. My family's Persian. We came from Iran in the 70s. I have family in Iran that were impacted by this. I woke up this morning and I had to look up at the school my nieces go to is the one we bombed. So, fucking insane. It's not, but, you don't know when you wake up in the morning like this, right? Especially the extent that we're bombing Iran. I don't know if tomorrow I'll find out that my uncle's dead or my nieces are dead or... So,
we've heard a confusing mishmash of arguments from the Trump administration about why they want to wage this war. One of them is for supposedly liberating the Iranian people.
I bet you the Iranian people are quite upset with the regime. My family in Iran doesn't like the regime. But what Iranians distrust more than their own government is is America. Most Americans forget we ended the Iranian experiment in democracy in 1953. It's well documented that we couped their democratically elected government. And ever since then, Iranians have distrusted the American mission of peace and freedom and democracy. Because why should they trust it, right? We removed their government once when we didn't like it, and now we're trying to do it again. And this bullshit that we're doing this for people. Who would go out into the streets and support the government that just bombed your family, right? Like, that doesn't win hearts and minds. I think it's a blatant attempt to take out what America has hated in the region for a long time, which is a competing political entity that's not under their control. Iran has refused to play ball with the American regime due to long-standing distrust of the government, and now they see an opportunity to end that. Cynical.
Have you been able to hear from your family in Iran? Do you know if they're safe?
No, because the government has a full comms blackout whenever these things happen. We won't know for probably weeks if my family's okay.
So what's it feel like right now living with that uncertainty?
It's weird when politics affect you personally, you know what I mean? It's one thing to talk about politics in the general sense, but it's another thing to wake up and think that your government killed your family, you know what I mean? So, I don't know, we won't know for a long time. But it doesn't really matter either way. There are families getting killed, whether they're mine or not, and nothing's going to come about this that really improves the lives of the average Iranian.
Or the lives of the average American.
Of course, we're dumping millions of dollars into a useless war that, what is it, only 21% of Americans even support? Like, at least with Iraq, we pretended, right? We made up a reason, we made up some reasons why, and then we did it. This was just complete bullshit. We wake up one day and just decide to bomb Iran.
Yeah, it is just bullshit. It's murder, as Boku is saying. I once gave a speech where I was talking about war and how there shouldn't be such a thing as a war crime because all war is a crime. It's just mass slaughter and murder of people, state-sanctioned murder. But to me, like, all war is a crime. So to have like a specific thing called a war crime doesn't make any sense to me because as far as I'm concerned, it's all a crime. But yeah, there's so many stories of people who live in the Middle East, children that are afraid of cloudless days because those are the days that the drones would come by and potentially strike their land. So many people in the Middle East that don't even know why they're under attack all the time throughout the years. And, you know, you go back to the Bushes, to Obama, and the amount of drone strikes that they were doing in the Middle East. And they're getting mad now because Iran strikes back on their military bases. When America in particular has been hitting them and murdering them over and over. Because what we saw with the United States bombing the Venezuelan boats, that's been happening in the Middle East for decades on a regular basis. Instead of boats, it's homes, it's weddings, it's funerals, it's groups of people. That's been happening for decades. And they've been getting away with it. And this is the outcome of them never dealing with having to face consequences. This is the logical outcome of where it would end up, which is, it's not logical that I'm looking for. There's another word. It's the inevitable outcome that was going to happen when our governments never faced any consequences for the murders that they've been committing over the past few decades. So here we have Mehdi Hassan. As I watch European leaders cravenly fall into line and fully back Trump's illegal war on Iran and pretending international law doesn't matter, part of me can't wait to see how they react when Trump finally inevitably seizes Greenland and hands Ukraine over to Russia. Idiots. And he's quote tweeting this here. Only weeks after German officials at the Munich conference spoke of the importance of international law, the German chancellor completely sets it aside to throw Germany's full support behind Trump and Israel's illegal war on Iran. Legal assessment under international law will be achieved relatively little in this regard. That is why now is not the moment to lecture our partners and allies. Despite all doubts, we share many of their goals without ourselves being able to actually achieve them. The last sentence is critical. Germany is positioning itself as a co-belligerent in this war, and Iran will likely treat it as such. I don't think we need to watch the actual clip. It's all kind of there. Yeah, and Mark Carney completely, showing his belly to Trump too after his Davos speech. Again, I was one of the few people to call out the Davos speech when it happened. I really should clip that. Maybe I'll work on that tomorrow to be like, yeah, I was right. He's reading. So the Surf's just using this meme again, this time for Stephen Harper. So Stephen Harper was the last conservative premier. Okay, officially conservative Prime Minister of Canada, because Mark Carney is the current conservative Prime Minister of Canada. But the last time the Conservatives, the official Conservative Party, had power, Stephen Harper was Prime Minister. And here he's saying, ending the repressive dictatorship in Tehran and halting its nuclear ambitions once and for all would be a monumental step forward towards regional stability. It also offers hope of a better life for the long-suffering people of Iran who have waited 2 generations for this moment. What started this? 2 generations, that's what, 58 years ago or so? Maybe back when the United States first started interfering. Let us hope they may soon embark on a new chapter in their history and country and blah, 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 define freedom, justice, and peace. Like he cares about any of that. Are you getting down? Come on, scooch. He doesn't care about any of that. This is all just a bunch of bullshit. It's all a bunch of bullshit. And don't forget, Pierre Poilievre said, what was it, in December? It was last fall, I think, that if Israel were to hit the nuclear sites in Iran, it would be a gift to the world. Well, who knows? Now, it's not just politicians and former politicians making statements. You also have like the Ottawa police sending out a statement like this. The Ottawa Police Service is monitoring the evolving situation in Iran and any possible effects this could have in Ottawa. Keeping our city safe is our top priority. You may see a larger police presence near religious institutions. If you have safety concerns, please contact us. In case of emergency, call 911. Le service de police Ottawa suit de presse la situation en Iran et ses possibles répercussions ici. La sécurité de notre ville demeure notre priorité. Vous pourrez remarquer en présence policière occur près de établissements réguliers. Si vous avez des préoccupations en matière de sécurité, n'est-ce pas nous contacter. En cas d'urgence, composez le 911. There's my French for the day. Yeah. There was also something similar like this going around from police services. I think even the mayor of Toronto said, oh, we're going to step up our support for the Israeli community, back when they were launching a genocide against the Palestinians. This is, again, it's just propaganda stuff, like trying to make themselves look like they're the brave, strong ones protecting us at home. We're not under threat here. We're not. again, I'm not ruling out that there might not be terrorist attacks. There might very well be terrorist attacks that happen here because of what the United States and with Canada's support is doing. But we're not under threat. You know, this is just the police showing what side they're on. But no different than, you know, when they were saying we're going to step up our protection around the Israeli, like Jewish synagogues and all that sort of stuff when they were launching the attack. Because I get the distinct feeling this isn't about keeping the Iranian population safe in Ottawa. It's about keeping other people safe from potential Iranian terrorists. That's the feeling I get from this. Sorry, my OBS said that it was unconnected and it's now reconnected successfully. So hopefully everyone is still all tuned in. Everything's good. Everything's good. Okay. I'll be checking the SandBox soon. Looks like lots more people have jumped in. Yes, Owen Jones has been on this. He has been on the right side of this issue for quite some time, as he has been on the right side of a lot of issues for a long time. Seeing hugs going on. I hope everyone's okay. I'll check the SandBox in just a little bit. So Owen Jones had tweeted this out. Keir Starmer has dragged Britain into an illegal U.S.-Israeli war on Iran. Yes, I believe Keir Starmer has said that they fully support the U.S. and the U.S. can use their bases. He said he'd legislate so Commons voted on military... missed a sentence. When he stood for leader, he denounced unquestionably blindly following the Americans. He said he'd legislate so Commons voted on military action, the biggest con man in UK political history. And so this is him back in 2020 saying the quote.
Unquestionably, blindly following the Americans is, in my view, the wrong thing to do.
Trying to sort of gauge what kind of a leader you would be, can I ask you, would you ever support military action if you were the Labour leader in the House of Commons?
I would pass legislation that said military action could be taken if first the lawful case for it was made, secondly there was a viable objective, and thirdly you got the consent of the Commons. I think that piece of legislation is much needed. Okay. Unquestionably, blindly following the Americans.
Yeah, I don't think they're voting on it. Things are just falling in lockstep with the United States. Same here in Canada. And part of my worry about this was we're not going to have the same thing we had back when Iraq happened, when Jean Chrétien said we are not going to follow the United States blindly into this war. Well, oh yeah, here's the quote of him saying that he gave permission for them to use their bases. Let's listen.
We have British jets in the air as part of coordinated defensive operations, which have already successfully intercepted Iranian strikes. But the only way to stop the threat is to destroy the missiles at source, in their storage depots, or the launchers which are used to fire the missiles.
Iran doesn't have weapons of mass destruction. There's just what's the word? The manufactured consent that happened in order to get people complacent with the war in Iraq hasn't even occurred this time. They're just like, oh yeah, there's weapons of mass destruction. We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to show you any evidence. We're not going to pretend that we have evidence. It's like, yeah, sure, silos, whatever. We need to bomb the hell out of the country. And we support the United States in doing it, and blah, blah, blah. And They didn't even bother to try manufacturing consent this time. And why? Why should they? Again, you just look at what the United States has been doing over the last little while with the bombing of the Venezuelan boats, the kidnapping of the president, the embargo to Cuba, and the horrific outcome that's going to have. The fact that they've already bombed the Middle East several times over. They assassinated Soleimani a few years ago with no consequences. When you're allowed to get away with all of that, why bother putting the effort into manufacturing consent? There's no reason for them to go through that effort when they've just been getting away with all of this bullshit for so long.
The United States has requested permission to use British bases for that specific and limited defensive purpose. We have taken the decision to accept this request to prevent Iran firing missiles across the region, killing innocent civilians. We have British jets.
And they should be more worried that if, bombs start flying, they're far more reachable than the United States and Canada is. Do you really want to make yourself a target like that so that if the day comes that they do have those bombs with that capacity, they're within range? So Crystal Ball had tweeted this out from Netanyahu, just saying, "You murdered schoolgirls and targeted hospitals, you genocidal monster." Because of course, they've already targeted schools and hospitals in Gaza. And so why not strike schools and hospitals first in Iran? They've gotten away with the genocide. Again, there's been no consequences for this sort of thing. So why even bother with the pretense anymore that they care? But I believe he tries to lie a little bit here. So Netanyahu, you see the difference. The tyrants of Tehran target civilians. We target the tyrants of Tehran to protect civilians. Actually, Iran was targeting military bases for the most part. That might have escalated since I last saw it, which is entirely possible. But in the past 5 years or so, Iran has been very reserved in their responses to aggression from the United States and Israel. When they've been attacked, and they've been attacked multiple times, they had targeted strikebacks on specific military bases. I believe one time they even gave them warning. To accuse them of being the villains in this particular situation is just so far from wrong. Let's see.
Bombarded by the terrorists in Tehran against innocent civilians, you see the difference. The tyrants of Tehran target civilians. We target the tyrants of Tehran to protect civilians. I've said for bombarded.
On day one, they were slaughtering children. Sorry, Owen, I'm not going to subscribe. But Owen has this out, Western media and Iran propaganda overdrive. It's like Gaza, Afghanistan, Iraq, and Libya all over again. So everyone who can afford to support Owen, he does amazing journalism. 3 days into the U.S.-Israeli illegal war on Iran, and that's something that people need to remember here. This is an illegal war. There are conventions, there's international conventions that these two nations have completely ignored. So any country that's supporting what the United States and Israel are doing right now is supporting illegal acts, illegal war. All of them should be held responsible for this. All of them who turned away from this, was on board with this, should face consequences. Because this is an illegal war. But again, as far as I'm concerned, all wars are crime. But this isn't a war of aggression. They started it, they instigated it. It's illegal. And it's not just illegal in international sense, but even in the United States, they're supposed to be voting on this sort of thing, which they bypass. In the UK, they're supposed to be voting on these sorts of things, which apparently has been bypassed. So it's illegal on several fronts. And it's also not wanted. The people don't want this. And the Western media is playing its usual role. We saw in Iraq, we saw in Afghanistan, we saw in Libya. We are seeing it in Israel's genocide in Gaza. Let's start with the BBC. There were two stories next to each other on the BBC website. I went over this yesterday. So here, vague, leave up to interpretation. You have to take their word vague. It's been reported that 148 are dead after strike on school without, naming who the perpetrator was. But here, 9 dead is stated as a fact, and Iran is mentioned as the perpetrator. So when Iranians are killed, in this case overwhelmingly children, the perpetrator isn't named. The Israeli-US attackers disappear from the sentence. The deaths are merely reported and attributed to Iran. As source readers have been trained to distrust. But when Israelis are killed, the perpetrator is clearly identified. It's presented as fact, not reported on, not Israel says. Fact. Now, image the reverse. Imagine Iranian strike had bombed an Israeli school and killed 165, mostly Israeli children. Can you picture the response? It would dominate every front page, every news bulletin. The faces of those children would be everywhere. We would see photos of them playing, hearing about their hobbies and dreams. We would hear from grieving parents. Western politicians would line up to denounce the barbarism of the Iranian regime. But not here, because it's very clear whose lives are centered and whose lives are treated as abstract statistics. It's clear how the crimes of the West are narrated and how the crimes of the opponents are. And then there was the Sky News report about Iranian attack on Bet Shemesh in Israel. This is what Iran's rage looks like. And then there was a Sky News report on an Iranian attack. I think that's just a repeated sentence. So this is what Iran's rage looked like. The reporter tells us in somber, almost grieving tones. The town of Bet Shemesh is a short drive away from Jerusalem, was hit by a missile, and so on and so forth. And he goes over a lot more examples. This one also was broken down. I believe I showed it yesterday. If not, it's again, Iran says that cast doubt, dozens killed, no responsibility in the strike. But here we have 9 killed stated as fact, Iranian, so the perpetrator's named. So Owen Jones released a video that basically covers all of this article here. So you can go to his channel and watch that, but I'll also toss this into the SandBox for people. So if you prefer to read this, you can. But moving on to more examples of media. So Eaton here is mentioning local CBS News in New York interviewed me yesterday at No War with Iran protests. They uploaded an initial clip where I'm quoted saying, when they bomb elementary schools, killing 85 schoolgirls, that doesn't bring freedom and democracy. That quote has now been edited out. Why? See for yourself. Screen grabs footage from the first upload and their new links is below. In CBS national editing local coverage after the fact to censor Jewish Iranian American with family in Israel who opposes the IRA and opposes war from being heard in open forums in America. Are American citizens making reasonable points criticizing an illegal war being censored? Very sketchy, very, very sketchy. So here's Eaton's I guess, comparison. So proud to stand alongside hundreds of New Yorkers demanding no war with Iran today.
For Iranian American Eitan Mabarak, it's personal. His family was forced to flee Iran to the United States. While he understands the need for regime change, he says war is not the answer.
When they bomb elementary schools, killing 85 schoolgirls, that doesn't bring freedom and democracy.
The protesters then took over the west side, spilling into the streets and shutting down traffic. Chopper 2 over the scene as they made their way to Columbus Circle, hoping their disruption sends out the message that they will not stay silent in the time of war.
They should focus on taking care of people who are in need in the United States and in other places, and not in creating yet another war in the Middle East.
Now, organizers tell me today's protest is the first of what's expected to be a number of protests happening in our area.
I think that's
For Iranian-American Etan, in response,
Our Andrew Ramos was in Times Square for a rally that drew hundreds of people.
demonstrators from all walks of life converged on Times Square Saturday afternoon. Their message, one of defiance against a war no one wants. The scene unfolding in the heart of Midtown just hours after the U.S. and Israel launched a military operation against Iran. Emotions ran the gamut.
I want real help for the Iranians, not bombs.
It's one appalling thing after another, but now a war without consulting Congress.
Demonstrators.
Yeah, his quote was completely taken out of it. So, still got more to go to. I'm going to be heading into an example of a really egregious example of Canadian media misrepresenting what is happening. But before I do that, go and check the SandBox so I don't get too far behind. So scroll up. Let's see. Okay. Sandy on a Monday? Okay. So I saw that. Did I say hi to you yet, hermetologist? Hello. And Atticus among us, welcome. Hello, Marty. Let's see. Looney Tunes mentioning people from a difficult truth. Looney Tunes, our Constitution has been dead since 1980. Ours has been around since 1982. So, Boku, it's weird when the murder of my family is mixed up with city council member race. Not sure. I know the context of that. It's in quotes, so I don't think this is, sorry, I'm not sure. Let's see. Hello, the Wild West. Welcome to the SandBox. Yes, if you need a break from the world, buy my book, as Looney Tunes has provided the link. It's a nice escape. I escape into that world so much. Oh, I can't wait to get back to writing it and exploring that world. So people reporting that there were no glitches on their end. Good. Because I got that thing from OBS saying temporary disconnected, reconnected. The Wild West doesn't the UK have nukes? I understand why Canada is wimpy, but if you have nukes, then you can stand up to Trump. I'm not entirely sure. What is it? Like only 7 official countries and then Russia? Or something like that. Atticus among us, afraid that chemical warfare will be the next step. Atticus Among Us also saying defensive isn't halfway around the globe. Yeah. John Davis, this has a lot to do with money. I wouldn't recommend moving to France right now, because if there's a war that escalates over there, you're probably safer here in Canada. Hello, John Martinez. Welcome to the SandBox. Let's see. Looney Tunes, CBS News, home to bullshit news from Barry Weiss and Tony Two Cuts. John Martinez, war is not the answer, for only love can conquer hate. Marvin Gates in 1971. John Martinez, I was shocked to see you streaming today, Sandy. Crazy how Kansas is legal. Mutual combat law, but no rights to trans people. Shake my head. I'll be talking about what's happening in Kansas to trans folks. That was the main point of the live stream today, was to cover what I was planning on covering yesterday, but didn't get to. But there's so many updates with what's happening with Iran that I wanted to cover that as well. Let's see. The Wild West, unleash the vampires, yes. The Wild West, France has nukes. The USA doesn't attack countries that already have nukes. Ah. Got it. It's just they'd be more likely to be under attack by other types of missiles. Let's see. Yes. This is a nice escape from reality. I can't wait to get back into it. The stories in that universe that I can't wait to share with you all. Get to know the characters. There's so many characters that aren't even in this book that I want to introduce you all to. And there are characters in this book that you're going to get to know a whole lot more in the prequels and sequels and stuff. And it's a world I live in when I don't have to participate in reality. Hello, Synonymous. France actually stood up to the U.S., Israel, and refused to get involved. They'll be fine. We're still vulnerable. Well, let's move along to an egregious Canadian media personality who is the true word of nepotism. Because I was explaining with Avi Lewis, I'm not necessarily mad or holding him to the nepotism thing, because he's at least qualified. He's gone through the process. He's educated. He's familiar with the subject and stuff like that. Ben Mulroney, however, the only reason why he has the positions he has right now is because of name recognition from his daddy, who used to be Prime Minister of Canada way back when. But he is just an absolute loser piece of shit. Israel helped, he went over to Israel for a while ago as part of a program to basically say, yeah, I'll be your talking head. So Canadians for Justice and Peace in the Middle East said, we are alarmed that Ben Mulroney's trip to Israel during the tenure of the host of the West Bloc, and the West Bloc is apparently a very big political show here in Canada that I have never seen, was paid for by the Israeli government. This is a flagrant violation of journalistic ethics. We reiterate our call to boycott all programming featuring Mulroney until he is removed as host of Global News' flagship political affairs program. Read more from Press Progress. So in November 2025, Mulroney joined a delegation of politicians and media personalities, influencers, in a free trip to Israel funded by the Israeli government, where Mulroney met with Israeli politicians, sat through lectures, went sightseeing, later chronicling his adventures and insights on his nationally syndicated talk radio program on Global News, 640 Toronto radio station. Yes, this was a paid opportunity to go over there and take care and be there taken care of by the Israeli government, Mulroney said a week later. It was a paid junket by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. In our view, Mulroney portrays himself as a proud propagandist, yet he faces no consequences. Tony told Press Progress, Global News is making a mockery of Canada's journalistic ethics. Part 2 of this. This is from Press Progress. This article is from Today. Global News' Ben Mulroney shared a video of airstrike. The footage is actually from a video game. This Nepo baby, who got his job on the flagship political show for Global News, used footage of a video game for the airstrike. You see, this is what a bad Nepo baby is. And he's really bad. And he's a Zionist shill and absolute piece of shit that does not deserve, the spoons up his ass that he has. The host of the Global News West block gets lost in misinformation-driven fog of war as American and Israeli forces strike Iran. I haven't actually read the article yet, but Press Progress, very reliable source. The host of Global News' top political show is learning the hard way that actually doing the work of journalist might involve more than simply playing one on TV. As the United States and Israel carried out joint military strikes on Iran this weekend and decapitated the country's political leadership through targeted killings, Ben Mulroney, eldest son of former Prime Minister Brian Mulroney, struggled to separate fact from fiction in the online fog of war. Mulroney, who is currently filling in as interim host of Global News' flagship political affairs show, The West Block, despite flatly stating that he is not a journalist, has definitely nepotism there, shared one video Saturday with his 84,000 followers on the social media platform Twitter. The video, which a number of social media users incorrectly believed was a video from the U.S.-Israeli airstrikes on Iran, shows a fighter jet performing highly sophisticated aerial maneuvers before striking what appears to be a civilian area surrounded by residential apartment blocks. Shall we watch? So there's a little note here. Global News Ben Mulroney shares video game footage during U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran. Yeah, jets actually can't do what you just saw there without falling apart and stalling out. That's not what it looks like when a jet launches. I know almost nothing about military warfare, and I could tell you that was fake. The post shared by Mulroney was from an ex-user going by the, whatever the fuck that is, who identifies herself as a MAGA Trump supporter and podcaster. She, in turn, had herself reposted the clip from a Chinese-language X account that claimed it was footage of an American F-15s bombing targets inside Iran. This is one of the most amazing videos I have ever seen, the post Mulroney shared said. It doesn't even look real. You don't say. Sometimes you should look into that. Just saying. One reason the video might not look real is because it's actually from a 2013 military simulation video game called Arma 3. As a number of social media users pointed out, the video clip is similar to footage that previously circulated during an armed conflict between India and Pakistan in 2025. Press Progress independently traced the video clip Maroney reposted during the U.S.-Israeli military strike to an identical video posted on YouTube in December 2024 by South Korean gaming channel called Battle Dragon, which regularly uploads clips from Arma 3. The channel describes the clip as footage of a jet attacking an unidentified city. None of the countries involved are current conflict, including the United States, Israel, and Iran, are known to possess or use Russian-made aircraft. See, there's always going to be nerds out there that can easily debunk some of these footages. Like, wow, okay. You're saying that this American attack is using a Russian fighter jet? There's going to be people who know. Because there's some autistic people where all this sort of stuff is their special interest. While misinformation is accelerating faster than ever thanks to AI-generated images and malign foreign actors, the public might have trusted that the host of Global News Political Affairs show would only share information that had first been verified by Global's newsroom. Neither Chorus Entertainment or the parent company of Global News, nor Maroney himself, responded to multiple requests for comment about whether the West Block host sharing video game footage in the middle of a war is in alignment with the Global News journalistic standards. The debunked video continues to remain visible on Maroney's Twitter page more than 24 hours after Press Progress first contacted the media outlet and its hosts. Chorus and Maroney did not address other social media postings by Maroney over the weekend. Another post shared by the West Block host casts doubt on reports that dozens of schoolgirls have been killed during the Israeli airstrikes. Yeah, if you're going to deny genocide, you're going to deny that the footage of all those children dead in the school and their screaming parents is fake too. While the precise number has not been independently verified, multiple media outlets have independently verified images and videos of the destroyed school. Ben Mulrooney had reposted, Iran says the media repeats without verification an evil regime that only weeks ago was killing its own people and covering it up is now trusted to create false narrative against Israel. 2.5 years, blah, blah, blah. The West Block host also shared a post containing a fake screenshot of a New York Times article carrying a satirical headline celebrating the death of Iran's I can't speak anymore. Evil dictator met painful death and is now burning in hell. That image was originally posted by a pro-Trump American First account who had replied to a far-right account called End Wokeness. Another post shared by Maroney celebrating the military strikes and warned readers, don't let the left fool you with their anti-war propaganda. The post continued with, long live America, long live Israel, long live Iran. Yeah. Jason Tooney, Director of Media Advocacy for Canadians for Justice and Peace in the Middle East, said it's disturbing to see the host of Global Political Affairs program embrace demonstrable information in the middle of an armed conflict, particularly false information that is favorable to the U.S. and Israel. In no other circumstance would such flagrant violations of journalistic standards be tolerated, Tony told Press Progress, noting Maroney's social media activity came shortly after he announced he would be interviewing John Bolton, National Security Advisor to U.S. President Donald Trump, in 2018-19. Global News Journalistic Principles and Practices state outlet is committed to presenting information that is factual and accurate. Noting that getting it right is more important than getting it first. Global's ethic codes of professional conduct further states that outlets' employees will conduct themselves on and off the job in such a way as to avoid any perception of bias or conflict of interest. Global News. you gotta fire him. This isn't a warning situation. This isn't a tap on the hand. You gotta fire him. Should have fired him after he went on that trip to Israel, paid by Israel. Should have fired him then, because he obviously has biases. When he was denying the genocide in Gaza, you should have fired him then. But this one is really bad too. So Global News has previously fired its own journalists for sharing opinions about Palestine on their personal social media account. You don't say. Shocked. So shocked that a news outlet would fire people who are pro-Palestinian and let Zionist genocide deniers be absolutely at home on their flagship show. In 2023, Global fired Palestinian-Canadian journalist Zara Al-Kharas, suggesting her social media posts violated the company's policies and created a perception of serious journalistic bias. Internal emails reviewed by CBC News show Global News managers had ordered the journalist to remove postings that included hashtags like Free Palestine, Gaza Under Attack, and Gaza Genocide. Chorus provided no response to questions about why sharing content on social media with hashtags like Free Palestine could give rise to perception of bias, but not posts that declare Long Live America and Long Live Israel, let alone posts suggesting left-wing anti-war propaganda is a lie. Questions as to whether Ben Mulroney is held to a different standard than other Global News employees also went unanswered. I think we know the answer to that one. The double standard couldn't be clearer, Tony said. The contrast in treatment of these employees is tied to the broader problem of anti-Palestinian racism in Canadian newsrooms. CJPME and dozens other civil social society groups representing Muslim, Palestinian, Jewish, and allied communities across Canada recently organized a boycott of Mulroney's show over concerns of his involvement with pro-Israel advocacy groups and lobbying firms represent a conflict of interest. They do. They do. And so I read this one in the previous screen, and that's the end of the article. Ben Mulroney, absolute garbage human being. Okay, I think I already showed this clip. Oh, Francesca had posted about it, so Mehdi Hassan also pointed. Over 500 Iranians have been killed since Saturday. They lie like the rest of us breathe. And another clip that he posted, I haven't actually seen this yet. I just saw a whole bunch of people I trust quote tweeting the hell out of it. So Mehdi is saying, this is the most insane and absurd definition of imminent threat I have ever heard in my life. Our ally and proxy Israel that we arm and fund was about to illegally attack Iran, so we joined the attack because that illegal attack would have led to an attack on us. Our ally and proxy Israel that we arm and was about to illegally attack Iran, so we joined the attack because the illegal attack would have led to an attack on us. Wow. Okay, let's see how Rubio words this.
There absolutely was an imminent threat, and the imminent threat was that we knew that if Iran was attacked, and we believed they would be attacked, that they would immediately come after us. And we were not going to sit there and absorb a blow before we responded, because the Department of War assessed that if we did that, if we waited for them to hit us first after they were attacked, and by someone else, Israel attacked them, they hit us first, and we waited for them to hit us, we would suffer more casualties and more deaths. We went proactively in a defensive way to prevent them from inflicting higher damage. Had we not done so, there would have been hearings on Capitol Hill about how we knew that this was going to happen and we didn't act preemptively to prevent more casualties and more loss of life.
They were going to attack us if they were attacked, so we attacked them first because we knew that they would attack us. The amount of twisting they're having to put themselves in to justify what they're doing when there's no justification for what they're doing. Yeah, we knew that if they got attacked, they would attack us, so we decided to attack them first, even though then that would still cause them to attack us, but then at least we got them the first shot. This is just Groove Dragon, yes. Lots and lots of war crimes going on, and welcome to the SandBox. Just wow. Wow. I'm trying to think of another analogy to this, like I had to steal their sandwich because if I had a sandwich, they were going to steal it, so I had to steal theirs first. No, that makes no sense. Just like his argument makes no sense. So from CBC News, did Canadian exchange officers participate in U.S.-Iran strike planning? DND says no, but questions linger. Up to 18 Canadian military personnel were on exchange with the U.S. in Bahrain and Qatar at the time of the attack. Because Anita Anand not participating. And the way that both her and Mark Carney are wording it, it's kind of like, we're not participating with what just happened, but we're not ruling it out in the future. And I am terribly, terribly worried that if there's a boots on the ground situation that they're going to be sending in Canadian military boots. A former senior Canadian general says it's highly likely some Canadian military members on exchange with the United States would have been involved at some level in the planning and coordination of airstrikes on Iran, something the Department of National Defense disputes. Prime Minister Mark Carney has said he supports U.S. actions to destroy Iran's nuclear program. So much for the global American hegemony we need to separate ourselves from. On Saturday, speaking in Mumbai during his 4-day visit to India, he said Canada as a country is not participating in military and that the federal government was not party to the military buildup or planning. His statement, however, did not specifically address the fate of exchange officers currently serving with the U.S. military. The Department of National Defense website shows that as many as 18 military personnel with the Canadian Armed Forces, CAF, are attached to Operation Foundation, working in the U.S. 5th Fleet Headquarters in Bahrain and Combined Aerospace Operations Center, CAOC, at Al Unaid Air Base in Qatar. Their job, according to DND, is to provide a link between headquarters and the CAF, and those serving CAOC have responsibility for airspace control units. In late Sunday statement, DND said Canadian military members had no involvement in the United States operation Epic Fury. Oh my God, is that what they called it? They called this Epic Fury? That they all just think they're living in a movie. They just think it's a movie. That there's no real world consequences. They're just in a movie. Nowhere near any CAF members were involved in its planning. Exchange officers would have had to have been ordered to not engage. The Defense Department initially did not answer questions about the status of those personnel when they first were posted by CBC News on Saturday. An official said on Sunday that the department was having email trouble, as they tend to do when they don't want to answer questions. The question of whether the exchange officers were asked to step back or take another role or were excluded from the U.S. portion of the campaign planning has yet to be answered by the Defense Department. Ordering them to take a step back would have had to be a political decision. Retired Major General Dennis Thompson, who served as a Canadian task force commander during the Afghan War and led a international peacekeeping force in Sinna, said a long-standing policy to have Canadian service members participate in exchange with the U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM. Unless the Canadian government said, no, you cannot be directly engaged in this conflict, then typically when the attach officers to another military and they go to war and the Prime Minister endorses this attack, then it's quite likely that they're actively engaged in targeting process, Thompson told CBC News. He said Canada has members of 3 branches of the military, Army, Navy, and Air Force attached to CENTCOM, and we specifically have staff officers inside what's known as the Combined Aerospace Operations Center. So they are going to be directly involved in targeting. So this is no different than when, Anita Anand and Mark Kearney say, we are not selling weapons to Israel. They're selling stuff to the United States, weapons to the United States, which are then being used in Gaza by Israel. So we did not have any of the planning. We just happened to have people sent to the Americans that were doing the planning. But we didn't, it was like a third party thing, Hundreds of strikes and first hours of attack. This isn't the first time Canada has faced this kind of dilemma. When the government of former Prime Minister Jean Chrétien chose not to participate in the U.S. 2003 invasion of Iraq, it did allow more than 100 exchange officers serving with American and British forces to remain in place and take part in deployments and operations. American and Israeli warplanes have been waging the air campaign since early Saturday, and according to data from the Washington-based Institute of the Study of War, the combined forces carried out nearly 900 strikes on Iranian targets in the first 12 hours. According to a U.S. official speaking to Fox News, the Israeli Defense Forces that's really not very defense of them. The IOF is really offensive forces, I think. Offensive forces. Yeah, the IOF claimed to have struck 500 targets inside of Iran. The attacks took place across 17 provinces in the country. In its daily briefing late Saturday, ISW pointed to an Axios report where senior U.S. officials was quoted saying American strikes are focused on Iran's missile program and missile launches, while Israeli strikes are focused on senior Iranian officials and the missile program. But a school with children, a couple schools with children were hit. You can't have the most sophisticated, precise military in the world and make that many mistakes. A massive explosion was reported early Sunday in Tehran as the Israeli military confirmed that it resumed bombing the Iranian capital. Canada condemns retaliation of Gulf states. How dare they attack us back? That's why we had to attack them first. The attack came one day after U.S. and Israel reported that they had killed the Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali, that name, in an airstrike. Iranian state television and state-run IRNA news agency confirmed the death of the 86-year-old early Sunday. U.S. President Donald Trump had announced his death hours earlier. Still got a little bit more to go through, but we get the point of that article. How long is this article? I haven't read it yet. Ah, fuck, that's way too much reading. Sorry. I'm really exhausted. And I have in there a long news docket to go after this. I'll start. Let's see how far we get. I just don't want you to get bored of my voice if I become monotone or something. I'm trying to jazz it up as much as I can. So this is from the Hill Times. Canada abandoning international law with support for U.S. strikes on Iran, says former diplomats. Though Canada's approach to Iran has been well aligned with the United States for many years, Prime Minister Mark Carney's government has been reluctant to condemn any suspected violations of international law by President Donald Trump, note foreign policy experts. With Canada's endorsement of American and Israeli airstrikes on Iran, past Liberal foreign ministers and former international law practitioners are signaling alarm over what they call federal government's indifference to international law. Well, considering what they've been letting Israel get away with for the past few years, can't say I'm surprised. Or the fact that, when Maduro was kidnapped and people killed there, Mark Carney's response was, well, he was a bad guy. Regime change there is good. That when the United States is putting an embargo around Cuba, the Foreign Affairs Minister, Anita Anand, just said, yeah, you probably shouldn't be traveling there. It's for the best. Can't say I'm surprised about this. On February 28th, the United States and Israel launched airstrikes in Iran, which led to the killing. Yeah, we know that. In response to the strikes on Iran, Prime Minister Mark Carney and Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand declared that Canada supports the United States acting to prevent Iran from attaining nuclear weapons, which it wasn't trying to do. Statements put out by Canada's G7 counterparts in Europe took a more middle ground approach, avoiding explicit support for the strikes. We did not participate in these strikes, but are in close contact with our international partners, including United States, Israel, and partners in the region, said a joint missive from French, German, and United Kingdom governments, which also condemned Iranian attacks on countries in the region in the strongest terms. But we already know where Keir Starmer ended up going. Canada's February 28th statement said that despite diplomatic efforts, Iran has neither fully dismantled the nuclear program, halted enrichment activities, nor ended its support for regional terrorist proxy groups. And then also, Israel has a right to defend itself. You don't get to defend yourself by committing genocide and assaulting other countries. Former Foreign Affairs Minister Lloyd Axworthy said Canada is abandoning its historic commitment to preventing the illegal use of aggression. He said it has become a pattern for Carney to show U.S. President Donald Trump that Canada can be a complicit partner. It's an abandonment of a long-standing element of our foreign policy, said Axworthy, who served as Canada's top diplomat under the then Liberal Prime Minister Jean Chrétien from 1996 to 2000. Axworthy said the best way to protect Canada as a middle power is to ensure that there are laws enforced that stop great powers from throwing their weight around. What we're simply endorsing is Trump's sort of new obsession with becoming an imperial power, he said. That's the worst kind of situation for Canada. Axworthy said that Parliament, including Defence and Foreign Affairs committees, need to have serious examination of the degree to which Canada is being integrated with the U.S. at a time when our southern neighbor is becoming a rogue state and breaking international law at the whim of the president. He said that would include a look at whether there are Canadian soldiers embedded with the American military who are involved in planning the strikes. Yeah, we just got that, and they mentioned the CBC report. Canadians have not been given much of a chance to comment, Axworthy said. There's not been serious debates in Parliament. Unlike Canada's statement following U.S. raid on Venezuela in January, a military action to which Canada did not object, the statement after the strikes in Iran made no mention of international law. In a subsequent statement on March 1st, Anand said that Canada continues to urge diplomatic resolution to the situation in the interest of civilian lives. Let's see. Last November, Anand said that it was up to the U.S. authorities to decide if strikes on alleged drug boats in the Caribbean violate international law. Yeah, they did. They did. They committed murder. They were executing people. They were murdering people on boats. A silent bystander. Former Canadian diplomat Sabine Nouk called Carney and Anand's February 28th statement quite problematic. remarking that Canada's description of the situation does not have a logical connection to why we are now supporting a prima facie illegal war of aggression. Iran is an oppressive state. They have committed a huge reign of unlawful acts themselves. But you have to ask yourself, as a matter of principled foreign policy, if we still have such a thing, and I'm beginning to doubt that now, if two wrongs make a right, and they don't, said Sabine, who advised the Canadian government on international law throughout her career, foreign service, including as co-counsel at the International Court of Justice on the legality of the use of force. She said that hits on Iran aren't war of necessity or justification, but are a war of choice. This is support for a doctrine of preemptive strike, which Canada has not traditionally supported, said Sabine, who also served as Canada's ambassador in the Netherlands. We may have entered a phase where international law is background noise, and we haul out when necessary and desired, and shove back into the drawer when inconvenient, she said. Sabine said the February 28th statement represents an abdication of the tools that Canada has used in foreign policy negotiation. So, yeah, still odds. Conservatives supported, Bloc and NDP concerned. I'm going to, let's see. Who's this? So during the speech, Carney is talking about that. Yeah, I wouldn't mind getting onto a little bit of that. Carney's much lauded speech at the World Economic Forum has produced a series of interpretations of whether Canada's support for the strikes fit with the worldview he articulated. They don't. During the speech, Carney remarked that the basis for rules-based international system was partially false. We knew that international law applied with varying rigor depending on the identity of the accused and the victim, he said. The speech set out a Canadian foreign policy that is principled and pragmatic. It included an appeal for middle powers to build an order that encompass values, which include sovereignty and territorial integrity. Junot said Carney's Davos speech highlighted competing priorities, some of which contradicted themselves. Trump's attack on Greenland are something that is against our interests. In the case of Iran, it's completely different, Junot said. It's not to say that sovereignty doesn't matter. It's not to say international law doesn't matter, but pragmatism was the overall point of the Davos speech. And here we go. Tossing this into the SandBox. Let's move on to this one. Yeah, so Spain said, no, you can't use our bases. That's what this article says. And the United States said, fine, we'll pack up and leave. But if you want to read the details of it, I did read this article, so... Spain said, no, you can't use our bases. And the United States said, fine, fuck you. But you can read the rest of it if you like. Sorry, it's been a long weekend. So from Global News, not that I trust them much these days, Trump says Iran war timeline is likely 4 to 5 weeks, but could go far longer. You don't say. Let's listen to this.
And there's no ceremony that can be much more important than this. Let me provide a brief update on Operation Epic Fury.
Fucking God, it is Epic Fury. That's like MCU, like, you know, Nick Fury is wearing like the sweetest outfit ever. And it is like single-handedly taking down an entire armada of those aliens. And then people are looking at him like that is Epic Fury right there. Mm-hmm.
Today, the United States military continues to carry out large-scale combat operations in Iran to eliminate the grave threats posed to America by this terrible terrorist regime. Following our obliteration of Iran's nuclear program in Operation Midnight Hammer a short while ago.
Midnight Hammer sounds like something Thor would get up to. Wow, this is really borrowed from the MCU, isn't it?
We warned Iran not to make any attempt to rebuild at a different location because they were unable to use the ones that we so powerfully blew up. But they ignored those warnings and refused to cease their pursuit of nuclear.
Darn it, I can't speed this up any, can I? Not in this. I can share more videos and shrink it. Oh, fuck. It doesn't have a setting where I can speed it up.
Weapons. In addition, the regime's conventional ballistic missile program was growing rapidly and dramatically, and this posed an Iranian regime and their capacity to produce brand new ones. Right from.
Okay, we don't need to listen to him for almost 7 minutes of just lying. So U.S. President says it could go further, 4 to 5 weeks, but we have the capacity to go far longer than that. At the expense of other people's lives, yeah. Since in the economy of the United States and the gas prices and all of that sort of stuff, yeah, sure. For people like Trump, they can go forever on that sort of thing. Since Saturday's initial attack in Iran, Trump has warned that Iran to not make any attempt to rebuild its nuclear program. Yeah. I don't get bored. Trump insists the U.S. attack on Iran won't be short. I think he gets bored. First, we're destroying Iran's missile capabilities, and you'll see that happening on an hourly basis, and their capacity to produce brand new ones will be pretty good. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, fuck. It's hard to read what he says. I believe the Majority Report covered this today. I saw their title of their show. I haven't watched it yet. And this guy here, Owen Jones, covered him in a video. So you can check them out on that. It's just if you watch those shows, then I don't need to reiterate it because my commentary would be very similar to what they're saying. So, check out the Majority Report and Owen Jones. They're on the right side of this issue. So I trust their reporting. And there's other leftist programs that I would trust to be objective on this. I wouldn't necessarily trust mainstream media to be objective on this. And the right wing, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Currently, Global Affairs Canada has reported that 85,000 Canadians are in the Middle East, with 2,921 Canadians in Iran, over 6,000 Canadians Israel, and 438 registered in the Palestinian territories. Yeah. And you're going to dig all for them. Iran threatens to set ships on fire if they enter Strait of Hormuz.
This weekend, Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, was killed in a major offensive unleashed by the U.S. and Israel on Saturday. To discuss these developments and what comes next for the country, we are joined by Maral Karimi. She is a Middle East analyst and faculty lecturer at Toronto Metropolitan University. Thanks for being with us. First off, I just want to get your reaction to the situation that we are in right now as this offensive continues and the supreme leader now dead.
Thanks for having me. Well, it's an all-out regional war with many countries in the region, Gulf states, even Jordan, Iran, Iraq, Lebanon, Israel. They're all involved. UK and now today France, the foreign minister, has come out and said they will defend their citizens in the Gulf and their assets, and they might get involved. So it is an all-out regional and war and beyond. In Iran, the situation is dire. There are bombings, contrary to what we were told, that these are going to be surgical attacks and only targeting military and nuclear sites. 2 hospitals so far have been hit. On the first day, a school, all girls school was hit, and about statistics vary, but about 160 students have been killed.
Sorry, I'm just going to pause it there because I don't know. This is from a news site, and so sometimes they show footage that I wouldn't necessarily be allowed to get away with on YouTube, so I gotta kind of cut it there because I don't want this show to get hit up with that sort of thing. It's so frustrating that there's certain things you just can't show on YouTube, even though it's on the news and it's newsworthy. So the Revolutionary Guard senior official said Monday that the Strait of Hormuz is closed and Iran will set fire to any ship trying to pass, the Iranian media reported. Sorry, it's like very dry in here right now. This is Iran's most explicit warning since telling ships it was closing the export route Saturday, the move that threatens to choke a fifth of global oil flow and send crude oil prices sharply higher. The Strait of Hormuz is closed. If anyone tries to pass, the heroes of the Revolutionary Guard and the regular Navy will set those ships ablaze. See, this is how Americans are going to get upset, is when the gas prices go up. Not from the deaths and the chaos that they see on TV, but when the gas prices skyrocket, then they'll riot in the streets. So the Strait is the world's most vital oil export route, which connects to the biggest Gulf oil producers such as Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, and the United Arab Emirates, and the Gulf of Oman and the Arabian Sea. The closure was triggered by U.S. and Israeli strike on February 28th. Okay. Just wanted to check live updates from CNN. Trump warns Iran about larger strikes as war spirals in Middle East. Let's just see. So President Trump told CNN's Jake Tapper the big wave is yet to come in the war with Iran. In separate remarks, Trump said that Tehran ignored his warnings over the nuclear program and he did not rule out sending U.S. troops to Iran if necessary. The U.S. Embassy in Kuwait was hit in strikes. 3 U.S. fighter jets were accidentally shot down by Kuwaiti air defenses in an apparent friendly fire incident. Israel and Hezbollah trading blows. The conflict widens. Global shockwaves. Qatar state-run emergency company has stopped its production of liquefied natural gas following Iranian attacks on the facility. The war has disrupted air travel with airspace closed in the Middle East. Okay. So that's all I got for that right now. I'm sure there's going to be massive updates any given day with all of that's going on with this. But now we can move on to the other subject that I wanted to cover today. And it's already been 2 hours. First, we're checking the SandBox. Oh, hello, Donald James. Welcome to the SandBox. Buy my book, buy my book. The Wild West likes my vampires. I like my vampires. Let's see. Donald James can only lurk and listen right now. Well, I appreciate you being here. Hello, Silas. I still want to call you Cialis. John Martinez shit even looks fake as fuck. What the fuck, Ben? Total clown shit. Yeah. That's often why I don't like covering things right as they're happening, because the Wild West AI is getting realistic, but this wasn't even new. Yeah. With all the AI and stuff out there, I like to wait till these sources are verified before I post on them. And that's, that's supposed to be the role of the mainstream media, like Global News. We're supposed to be able to rely on them, that when they actually post things like that, that it's accurate, it's been checked and all that sort of stuff. But, anyone who's like actually watching and paying attention to that video would be like, okay, it's not real. Because was there any flash from that missile leaving the jet? No, it just looked like it shit it out. Like, it's just... let's see. And Groove Dragon with lots of war crimes, and welcome to the sandbox. You can bomb the world to pieces, but you can't bomb it to peace. Michael Franti? Hello, Circes. I did not say your name right. Circe? Circe? 2D2A. Welcome to the sandbox. Proactively defensive. Yes. Grand Theft Autobot, typical conservative fear-mongering doublespeak. Boku, it's not even a movie, it's a Baby Shark song. They're living in a Baby Shark song. I did say hi to you, right? If not, hello and welcome to the sandbox. I always lose track of everyone I've said hi to. I think I've said hi to Hermeteorologist. Just yell at me if I haven't said hi to you yet, and I'll say hi to you. Hello, Marty. John Martinez. I remember Jean Cartien. Grand Theft Autobot. Okay, so Israel's defending itself from Iran, and U.S. is licking nutty Yahoo's dick hole again. Am I up to speed? I think that sounds about right. Yeah, I think that's it. Cirrus, your voice is very soothing, Sandy. Why, thank you. I'm trying my best. I'm a little talked out because I was talking for 5 hours almost yesterday, and I'm already on to 2 hours today. Let's see. Grand Theft Autobot. Operation Avengers Initiative. Yes, and Looney Tunes Board of Piss. Yeah, it's not a board of peace, it's a board of piss. He's bored of peace? Maybe that's it. There's a little wordplay going on with his board of peace. He's bored of peace. I think if you change the emphasis on it, it makes more sense. Because Trump put together the board of peace, but it's board of peace. Groove Dragon video speed control is an extension that you can add onto your browser. Well, that's annoying. If it's on YouTube or Twitter, I can change the speed. Groove Dragon, your tax dollars at work. Israel is arming schools and hospitals, says Soul Life, and welcome to the SandBox, Soul Life. Groove Dragon, not Sandy's tax dollars, only US. Oh no, we're sending money to Israel too, don't worry. We're sending money to this. My tax dollars are going to this too, just not as much. Boku censorship is whitewashing. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Okay. Well, why don't we get into the other docket that I wanted to cover yesterday that I didn't get around to? There's a fair bit of reading in it too, so. I covered previously, there was this case in British Columbia of a bigot who was fined $750,000. And of course, the right wing is trying to paint it that it's just because of his speech that he's being silenced. And it's like, no, it's because he ignored court orders. He took it to the Supreme Court. He violated all these restrictions. These are the charges of the courts and all this sort of stuff and blah, 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 blah. And so there is a little bit more on it. And Rachel Gilmore also did a breakdown of it. And I believe that's in my docket to watch. So we do have a video that we're going to be watching where I can get a break and go get another drink. So I'll just switch it to there. Share. I still need to contact the candidate for the Ontario Liberal Party, but this is what we want to get to. Okay, so Sean McQuillan says he took a billboard calling evolutionary biologist a sex worker and superimposed her head onto Miley Cyrus's body in a wrecking ball. He also ran radio ads harassing people. This isn't punishment for not believing in gender identity. He was quite bluntly being an asshole. And so the National Post, which is owned by right-wing American oligarchs, and it is a complete right-wing rag, very transphobic one, says, first reading, the Canadians being punished by the state for not believing in gender identity. And again, as that person said, that's not why he's paying the fine. So the serfs, being in the same province as this douche canoe, has also been pushing back on it. So John Rustad, who is an MLA there, so that's the same as an MPP here in Ontario, so that's provincial level politics, is very upset. British Columbia just became a place where even John Cleese says no thanks. No, not John Cleese. Whatever will we do without his humor? Entertainment? He's been bigoted for a while. He's like so old fogey, how dare you not find me funny anymore, even though all my humor is still from the time period when I was a child. John Cleese says he's now avoiding BC because of crackdown on gender ideology criticism. If I can't be a bigot, I don't want to go. BC Human Rights Tribunal cases has been brought against non-citizens such as Cleese and also against comedians making income and performance. Yeah, if I go to BC, I want to be able to say all the bigoted stuff that I want without consequences. And the serf's pointing out, because of your lie, you claimed someone had to pay $750,000 for gender ideology when it was lawyers' fees and slandering a teacher and refusing to stop calling him a pedo after a court order. John Cleese was just like, well, I can't do my routine without transphobia, so I'm out. Yeah. If you can't do a comedy routine without punching down, without being a bigot, without being a transphobe, homophobe, racist, misogynist, all that sort of stuff, it's because you're not funny. You're not fucking funny is the problem. So Pierre Polyev also had to weigh in on this, saying, "This is Orwellian. Orwellian, I tell you. Governments in kangaroo courts." Really, Skippy? You're going there? Calling this a kangaroo court, Skippy? Really? Really? Governments in Skippy courts now chill freedom of expression instead of fighting crime, censoring people who dare to speak their minds. Just ask the BC school board trustee who got slapped with a big fine for saying there are two genders. Enough is enough. We must defend the truth and speak against these mad censors. Okay, Skippy. And the serfs again just pushing back on that. Conservative leaders openly spreading, saying conservative leader openly spreading anti-LGBTQ plus conspiracies. And then we go on to Rachel Gilmore's video here on the YouTube. And I've already watched it, so while you're watching it, I'm going to run and get in there a drink. Yeah, Grand Theft Autobot. Apparently John Cleese is still alive. Anyway, here you go.
Lying again. You know what that means? It's time for a fact check. See, Polyev took to Twitter a couple of days ago with some pretty huge claims. Quote, "This is insane and Orwellian," he said, apparently describing what he was about to do. Because he went on to claim that, quote, "Governments in kangaroo courts now chill freedom of expression instead of fighting crime, censoring people who dare to speak their minds. Just ask the BC school board trustee who got slapped with a $750,000 fine for saying there are two genders. Enough is enough. We must defend truth and free speech against these mad censors." Wow, sounds pretty bad. I mean, it's incorrect to say that there are only two genders because gender is something you identify as, while sex is biological and intersex people exist, but still. $750,000 for saying there are two genders, for insensitive ignorance. Seems pretty unbelievable, no? Well, that's because it's literally unbelievable, as in you shouldn't believe it, because it's not true. See, this BC school board trustee wasn't fined for saying there are two genders, despite that being the incessant drumbeat of several high-profile right-wing accounts. And when I tell you what Polyev is actually defending here, you'll find it chilling that any federal party leader would publicly co-sign this bigotry under the guise of protecting free speech. See, the $750,000 number is the penalty imposed by the BC Human Rights Tribunal, which found in their decision that the trustee, Barry Neufeld, poisoned the workplace of LGBTQ+ staff members. Literally, the tribunal uses the word poisoned several times, with a vicious campaign against classroom resources on gender identity and sexual orientation.
Yeah, these bigots just hate that there's countries that actually have laws that protect people against their bigotry. That's what it comes down to. They're upset that there's places where they're free to be their horrific, bigoted selves.
According to the text of that decision, quote, "His role in the district and his public profile put him in a position to affect the teachers' working conditions, and he did. For 5 years, he publicly denigrated LGBTQ people and teachers and associated them with the worst forms of child abuse. The effect was a discriminatory work environment for LGBTQ teachers in the district." So yeah, just a little bit more than saying there are two genders. In fact, the tribunal's decision lists several examples of things this dude said, including that teaching kids about diverse sexual orientations primes them for sexual abuse. And the decision even has a specific section devoted to publications from this trustee that they...
Anyone, if I see an adult that's like dead set against children having appropriate sex education, I'm suspicious about them. Like, they need to be, their hard drives need to be checked. They need to have welfare checks on the children if there's any children in their family, because proper sex education helps protect children from abusers, because it informs children what it is, why it's wrong, you know, the secrets that might be happening. It's the adults that don't want the children to know this information that I'm very suspicious about. So any person like this that's like, no, we shouldn't be doing all of this, I'm suspicious.
they say meet the level of a discriminatory publication under the BC Human Rights Code Section 7.1b, which states that a person must not publish anything that is, quote, likely to expose a person or a group or a class of persons to hatred or contempt. The tribunal describes publications the school board trustee made as being, quote, rooted in the premise that trans people are not real. But they add that in one of these examples that they say violates the Human Rights Code, quote, Mr. Neufeld goes further to cast acceptance of transgender identities as a type of heresy and analogous to accepting sex offenders into society. The tribunal goes on to say that, quote, viewed globally and in context, Mr. Neufeld's intent and the likely effect of his publications is clear. It is the very outcome which prohibitions against hate speech aim to avoid, shifting the environment from one where harm against LGBTQ people, especially trans people and trans youth, is not tolerated to one where harm is accepted or ignored. The tribunal adds that, quote, for 5 years, Mr. Neufeld inundated public discourse in Chilliwack with speech that degraded and denied trans people, sought to eliminate public policies for their inclusion, and sounded alarms about an imaginary threat posed by their social acceptance. He spread misinformation and inflamed anti-LGBTQ animus in the district. Like, I'm sorry, but why is Poilievre spending his time defending this? This is what he hitches his wagon to. This is what he downplays, lies about for his own political benefit. I mean, he's collecting emails with this. Like, Jesus Christ, dude, talk about taxes or something. Because this, to quote his own words, is insane and Orwellian. And we need to defend the truth against lies like this. Because at the end of the day, just because the hateful silo you've decided to spend your time scrolling on Twitter has convinced you that trans people aren't real or are real but are somehow broken and therefore don't deserve access to care that saves their lives and don't deserve to not have workplaces poisoned against them, that doesn't mean good and normal people outside of those twisted online spaces are that stupid. We see through the hateful rhetoric that Poilievre and others like him are defending here. We won't allow it to be downplayed and mischaracterized because trans people do exist and they deserve dignity and protection. This is the opposite of that, and it is disqualifying from a so-called leader. What do you think of all this?
Yep. Our leaders should not be allowed to get away with this sort of bullshit because all it does is escalate. So this is from Erin in the Morning, a wonderful independent reporter that if you can support her, please do. She does great reporting. So Kansas sends letters to trans people demanding the immediate surrender of driver's licenses. The legislator did not include a grace period. So today, transgender people across Kansas are reporting receiving letters from Kansas Division of Vehicles stating that they must surrender their driver's license and that their current credentials will be considered invalid upon the law's publication in the Kansas Register on Thursday. Should any transgender person be caught driving without a valid license, they could face a Class B misdemeanor, carrying up to 6 months in jail and a $1,000 fine. Kansas already requires county jails to house inmates according to sex assigned at birth. This is torture. This is inhumane. What they want to do to trans folks. Putting trans women in male prisons is torture. What happens to them there? The letter obtained by Erin in the Morning marks one of the most significant erosions of transgender civil rights in the United States to date. And I don't know if I have it in one of the doc posts here, but it's not just about having, the gender marker on your license that matches your gender identity. It's about keeping people safe, and what Kansas wants to do is make people unsafe. They want to immediately out trans people to anyone who has to see their ID to get into a bar, to get certain loans. Anyone that needs to see your ID, they want to instantly let those people know that you're trans. Because if you are are a trans woman, but your license says male, you're going to get questions. People will know. Maybe people won't believe you or think it's stolen or all this sort of stuff. It just puts trans people in so much danger to do this. Not every trans person is out for reasons of safety. And so for all of the people that just want to live their lives and be safe, this is stripping them away, like stripping their rights away, stripping their safety away, exposing them, putting them in danger. They can go to jail for simply driving with the license that was already approved by their state. I have a video of somebody just saying, really pointing out how outrageous this is. But I'll continue with the article. The letter, which has been reported to Aaron in the Morning by Kansas-based activists, states that under House Substitute for Senate Bill 244, Kansas issued driver's license and identification cards must now reflect the credentials holder sex at birth. It warns that upon the law's publication in the Kansas Register on Thursday, February 26, current credentials for affected individuals will no longer be valid. The letter notes, did not include grace period for updating credentials, and anyone operating a vehicle without a valid credential may be subject to additional penalties. Those whose gender marker does not match their sex assigned at birth are directed to surrender their current credentials to the Division of Vehicles for reissuance. You can see the full letter here. Once again, being able to have these IDs with your correct gender on them is also something that is just personally affirming. Like for me to have the X gender marker on my license and birth certificate and passport. To have that suddenly stripped away when that's my only, physical proof of my gender would be horrific. But to strip it away from people who it will put them in danger. They're given no grace period. Like they can't even drive to the center to get the new license without risking going to jail. And what does this mean for people outside of the state who are trans? Would I be able to go on a road trip through Kansas now with my driver's license? Or would I risk getting in a lot of trouble for it? Like, this is causing people to flee the state, and we'll get a little bit more into people who are moving because of all of this, but this is so horrific that they're doing this. And where's the pushback? Where are the government officials pushing back against this? Talking about how inhumane this is. Saying that they won't let it stand. You're not seeing it. Because, trans issues, they're just so toxic to the narrative. So they just never talk about it. So you have the right wing that's always talking about it and demonizing trans folks. And then you have the Democrat that just says nothing. So this is the letter, Dear Kansas Credential Holder, House Substitute Bill 244 enacted by Kansas legislator, blah, blah, blah. Issue driver's license identification cards to reflect credentials holder, sex at birth. What does this mean for you? If you have received this notice, our records indicate that upon publication of this law in Kansas Register on Thursday, February 26, 2026, your current Kansas credentials will no longer be valid. Additionally, note the legislator did not include a grace period for updating credentials. Wow, it's right there in the letter that you can't even drive to get this done. This means that once the law is officially enacted, your current credentials will be invalid immediately, and you may be subject to additional penalties if you are operating a vehicle without a valid credential. What do you need to do? Pursuant to the new law, if the gender sex indication on the face of your current credential does not match your sex assigned at birth, you are directed to surrender your current credentials to the Kansas Division of Vehicles. Upon surrendering the credentials, you will be issued a new credential reflecting the gender identification consistent with statutory requirements. If you have any questions regarding procedures for obtaining a legally compliant credential, please contact the Kansas Division. Can you appeal the notice? Yes, if you believe you have received this notice in error, you may appeal. Appeal rights are available under this. However, please be advised that filing an application will not preserve the validity of your current credential and associated driving authority. For additional information about the DOV, blah, blah, blah. We apologize for the inconvenience this causes you. You apologize? Really? You apologize for putting their lives in danger, for stripping away their identity, for taking away a hard-fought right. You apologize for that? Fuck you. SB 244, also known as the Bathroom Bill, contained heavily identification documents bans as well. The bill was rushed through the Kansas legislature in January using a gut-and-go procedure that bypassed nearly all public input on its key provisions. Governor Laura Kelly vetoed the bill on February 13th, calling it poorly drafted, but the legislature overrode the bill. Overrode her veto days later. In addition to the driver's license provisions, the laws ban transgender people from using bathrooms matching their gender identity in public buildings and creates a bathroom bounty hunter system, allowing citizens to sue transgender people they encounter in restrooms for at least $1,000 in damages, including potentially in private restrooms. It's just a target on them. And then with their IDs having to be put to the gender assigned at birth, it puts an extra target on them. Like, you can now go around stalking these people to see, okay, are they going to slip up and go into the washroom that they identify with? Go and keep an eye on those ones, because, wow, they might make a quick buck from that. You know, it is literally making transgender people in Kansas prey to all of these people that want to harm them. The bill takes effect immediately upon publication in the Kansas Register rather than the standard July 1st effective date, giving transgender Kansans just days between the override and the invalidation of their identity documents. The consequence for noncompliance could escalate quickly. Under Kansas law, driving without a valid license is a Class B misdemeanor, punishable by up to 6 months in jail and a $1,000 fine, though first-time offenders are more likely to face a citation and fine. A conviction, however, triggers an automatic 90-day license suspension. If a person drives during the suspension, they face charge of driving on a suspended license, which carries a mandatory minimum of 5 days in jail. Kansas already requires county jails to house inmates by sex assigned at birth. It's just torture. It's just torture. And, you know, it punishes trans people for just being trans. If they lose their license, but they need to drive in order to get to work or live their lives, that's being stripped away. It's just, this is so brutal. In targeting such a small number of people within the state. All of the work that they had to put into to repress this small group of people. The Kansas letters arrived amid an accelerating nationwide campaign to strip transgender people of accurate identification document. The Trump administration has barred transgender Americans from obtaining passports that reflect their gender identity, a policy the Supreme Court allowed to take effect in November. The Social Security Administration has similarly stopped permitting gender markers updates. At the state level, Florida, Texas, Indiana, and other states have moved to block gender marker changes on driver license or birth certificates. But Kansas appears to be the first state to go further than simply blocking future changes. It is actively invalidating previously issued documents and demanding their surrender. As a result of this extreme anti-transgender law, the state of Kansas has seen its status deteriorate to a do not travel warning in the EITM trans risk map. The transgender people should exercise extreme caution when traveling through the state, and those already living there should take immediate steps to legally protect themselves in the face of laws that could strip their driving privileges, expose them to criminal penalties, and subject them to $1,000 bounties simply for using a restroom. For most transgender people who do not already live in Kansas, the risk is now too great to travel there at all. My heart breaks for people who can't flee. Being able to just uproot yourself and move to a different state. You need money, you need resources, you need support in order to be able to do that. A lot of people don't have that, especially with the cost of rent and, now the price of gas going up and just the cost of living in general. Most people can't just leave. If something were to happen here in Ontario, I can't just up and move to another province. I don't have the resources. I don't have the connections. I don't have the support to do that. So Politics Girl saying, you might think what's happening in Kansas doesn't affect you because you're not trans, but the same government telling you you need ID to vote is showing us how easy it is for them to take our ID. Wake up. Yeah, it's people, I think, need to absolutely wake up to the fact that in a moment's notice, their government could invalidate their IDs. And they're trying to pass that law in the United States where you can't vote if your name has changed from your birth certificate or whatever. And so all those people who think, oh, well, they won't be caught up in that and whatnot, they might be getting a letter very quickly that would suddenly say you're no longer eligible to vote. It can happen very quickly. But people don't care. They don't pay attention because, oh, it's trans people being affected. But here's a TikTok about this saying more transgender people in Kansas are reporting receiving letters notifying them that their driver's license are now invalid starting at midnight.
Hi, I'm Avery Rowland. I'm a transgender woman in Kansas, and today I got a letter from the Driver's License Bureau saying my license is invalid. Effective midnight, because that's when it goes into effect. So at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, I have to go to the DMV and get a new license because it's invalid. There's no grace period. They're not paying for this. They're not paying to replace it. I drive 25 miles to work. I cannot drive 25 miles without a driver's license because if I get pulled over without a license, I go to men's prison, and I can't fucking do that. So tomorrow morning, I have to take off work. I have to spend my own money, my own time, and replace the license. They could mail me a new one. They know who everybody is. The letter was waiting for me when I got home in the mailbox. They can mail me a new one. They can mail me a license that's updated and just invalidate the other. Yeah. But they don't. They make us jump through these fucking hoops because Kansas hates trans people. The problem is I love Kansas. I love you. I love the sunsets. You can't see it right now, but I can out my window. I love the sunrises. I love the beauty that is Kansas. I just hate these motherfuckers. And that's why I'm running for state representatives, because I love Kansas, but it makes it super hard to stay. If for some reason I don't win in a year, I don't see myself staying in Kansas.
So she says she's running for state representative. The TikTok, if you can't see it in the corner here, it's at KANSTRANSAN. Canstranson. So go check her out on TikTok and support her any way you can.
I don't see myself staying in the U.S., but I'm doing my best. I'm sticking it out. I'm toughing it out. But god damn, they make it fucking hard. Anyway, I've been shaking with fury since I got home. That's not good for my health. I love you. Fucking stick it to the man. Pardon my French in this whole video. I'm sorry. Bye.
There's a term in my head I'm trying to think when it comes to punishment that's not allowed because it's severe. There's a phrase for it. Somebody in the SandBox help me out with it. Like it's inhumane. There's a phrase for severe punishment that goes above and beyond, you know, what should be allowed. There's a phrase for it, and I can't think of it right now, but I'm sure somebody knows. So Possum here is just pointing out that this is precisely what I mean. This headline by Democracy Now! Does not convey the horror of what is happening. Trans prisoners will be forcibly detransitioned, put into conversion therapy, and will be used as medical experiments. And so federal prisoner prohibits gender-affirming care for trans people. So they were quote tweeting themselves. Let's just back up a few. So Ed Markey says that trans people deserve IDs that reflect who they are. Bills like this undermine the basic rights of trans people and put them at risk of serious harm. No one can erase trans people's existence. And then Possum says, forcing trans people to revert gender markers means they will immediately be outed in any interaction that requires ID. Renting an apartment, starting a job, applying for a bank account, every interaction with police. This enables discrimination and can put trans people in physical danger. And down in the States, you're allowed to discriminate when it comes to employment or housing. You are allowed to discriminate. Possum also saying the language of affirming and inclusion is failing us in the moment. Trans people don't need gender markers to affirm the gender we identify as. Accurate sex gender markers are needed for our protection, physical safety, and access to basic services and rights. So this is the Democracy Now! It's just a quick little headline here. Federal prisons will no longer provide gender-affirming care to incarcerated trans people. This, according to the Marshall Project, which reported the Bureau of Prisoners released its new policy Thursday. Under the new rule, trans people will no longer have access to gender-affirming surgery, hormone care, clothing, or toiletry items that align with their gender identity. Hormone therapy will reportedly be replaced with prescription medications for depression and other mental health conditions, many which are caused by hormone withdrawal, including suicidal ideation. Advocates have vowed to fight Trump's latest attack on trans communities, saying this policy threatens the lives of hundreds of people who were receiving gender-affirming care in federal prisons. Cruel and unusual. That's what I was looking for. The Wild West. This is cruel and unusual. It is torture. Doing this to people. My God. But I need to save this article because you know that TYT essay that I'm working on? Well, you see, Jank, he's really upset that his taxpayer money goes towards gender-affirming care. Now, he'll say of illegal immigrants in detention, but how dare his taxpayer money goes towards that? Well, Jank, you're winning. Your money no longer has to go towards gender-affirming care. I'm sure you're happy now that these people are going to suffer torturous conditions, that they're going to be psychologically abused, forced into conversion therapy, have their hormones taken away from them, be treated for depression. This is just the first step, Jank. This is what you wanted. This type of thing. You should be happy. I can't get that essay done soon enough. The amount of rage that I have when it should have been people like him standing up against this sort of thing to begin with. This is so dehumanizing. And then forcing them to be in prisons. Forcing a trans woman to be in a male prison is barbaric. What happens to them there is just... They don't report about it. It's too horrific. If you're upset with like Jeffrey Epstein and everything that you've heard in the Epstein files, then you should be outraged with what happens to trans women in men's prisons. You don't have to worry about the trans woman in a woman's prison. The guards, the male guards there are the ones that you have to worry about. But putting a trans woman in a male's prison, if you're upset with the Epstein files, you have to be fucking outraged with what happens to these women. It is disgusting. More from Aaron in the morning. Over 400,000 transgender people have moved states since Trump's election. The large migration builds on earlier movements of transgender people in response to anti-transgender legislation. This is internal displacement on a massive scale. If we saw this type of displacement happening in other countries to a group of people, the United States would bomb them. Across the United States, transgender people have been battered by a relentless wave of anti-transgender legislation from Republican-led states. Under the Trump presidency, that pressure has only intensified, leaving transgender people increasingly dependent on whether their state government is willing to protect them or abandon them. While many states have weakened protections or embraced outright hostility, a smaller number have taken the opposite approach, suing the federal government's refusing to cooperate with discriminatory directives and affirming trans people's right to live freely. Transgender people are noticing. According to a new poll from the Movement Advancement Project and NORC, an estimated 400,000 transgender people have already fled their homes states for safer ones since the 2024 election, relocating specifically in response to anti-trans laws and policies, making it among the largest relocations in modern history in the U.S. Surveyors in the Movement Advancement Project polled more than 1,000 LGBTQ plus households, asking respondents about their perceptions and actions since 2024 election. When asked whether they had moved to a different state, 9% of transgender respondents said that they had. That figure translates into a striking level of displacement. According to Gallup, transgender people make up roughly 1.3% of the U.S. population, about 4.5 million people nationwide. If 9% of that population has moved states, it amounts to approximately 401,000 transgender people relocating in the wake of the election, an extraordinary migration driven by political conditions rather than personal preference. And here's a graph of that poll. So figure 1, more than 8 in 10 transgender and non-binary people and the majority of all LGBTQ people have made life decisions due to LGBTQ-related politics since the November election. Here we have transgender and non-binary people is the dark color here. All LGBTQ plus people is the lighter orange. So the top one is at least one of the listed actions. The actions are taking steps to be less visible as an LGBTQ person in your community. For example, work or school, so going back into the closet. Considering moving to a different state. Joined or started participating in LGBTQ advocacy activism where you live. Joined or started participating in LGBTQ community or recreational opportunities where you live. Consider a different job, place of work. Taken steps to be more visible in LGBTQ person in your community, for example, work, school. So that's a lot lower, but some people want to become more visible to show support to other people. tried to update name or gender marker identity on documents, gotten different job, place of work, gone to another state to get medical care, actually moved to a different state. And that's down here. The likely reason for this movement appears later in the survey. Transgender people report experiencing startling levels of discrimination in the aftermath of the 2024 election. More than half, 56%, said they faced discrimination because of their gender identity, while 47% reported being harassed in person. In many cases, that hostility is coming directly from the state itself. 24% of transgender respondents said they were discriminated against or mistreated by their local or state government. Faced with conditions like these, which can make even day-to-day life a struggle, relocation becomes less a choice than a means of survival. So again, just more figures here. So seen anti-LGBTQ political ads, been discriminated against or mistreated by individuals due to being LGBTQ, been harassed online about being LGBTQ, been harassed in person about being queer, been discriminated against or mistreated by the federal government due to being queer, been discriminated against, mistreated by a private business entity, been discriminated against, mistreated by a local state government due to being queer. The movement is not limited to transgender people. A far larger number of LGBTQ plus people overall have also changed states since the Trump election. While the percentage is smaller, about 5% of non-transgender LGBTQ plus respondents, the raw numbers are much larger, translating to roughly 1.5 million people relocating across state lines since the election. Their reasons closely mirror those cited by transgender respondents. Widespread harassment, persistent discrimination, and growing sense that remaining in place has become untenable. This is not the first survey to document this kind of movement. In 2023, Data for Progress examined transgender migration in the aftermath of harsh anti-transgender legislation passed at state level, and found similarly large numbers of transgender people reporting that they had moved to different states as a result. While the Movement Advancement Project surveys focuses only on migration since 2024 election, the broader pattern is clear. This migration has been underway for several years, and the true number of transgender people who have relocated in response to hostility policy environments is likely far larger than any single survey can capture. Yeah. A lot of these places I would not feel safe in. So Eleanor here is an MLA in British Columbia saying, proud to represent my community of Surrey Cloverdale on Pink Shirt Day alongside my colleagues in the BC legislature. Serves pointing out your party just tabled legislation to abolish Human Rights Code allowing for discrimination based on sex and gender. For those who don't know what Pink Shirt Day is, Pink Shirt Day is an annual event against bullying held in Canada and New Zealand. Participant wears pink shirts and hosts informative events to raise awareness about bullying, particularly in schools. Pink Shirt Day was started in 2007 in Canada, where it is held the last Wednesday of February each year. It was adopted in New Zealand in 2009 and is observed annually on the third Friday of May. The original event was organized in 2007 by two grade 12 students named David Shepard and Travis Prince of Berwick, Nova Scotia, who brought and distributed 50 pink shirts after a 9th grade student, Chuck McNeil, was bullied for wearing a pink polo shirt during the first day of school at Central King's Rural High School in Cambridge, Nova Scotia. That year, former Nova Scotia Premier Rodney MacDonald proclaimed the second Thursday of September, aligning with the start of each school year, as Stand Up Against Bullying Day in recognition of these events. Then in 2008, then Premier of British Columbia, Gordon Campbell, proclaimed February 27th to be the Provincial Anti-Bullying Day. In 2009, the Boys and Girls Club of Canada worked on pink t-shirts that said Bullying Stops Here and Pink Shirt Day for Anti-Bullying Day. In May 2009, New Zealand celebrated. Yeah. So the purpose, Anti-Bullying Day, was instituted to prevent further bullying. The United States Department of Justice showed that 1 out of 4 kids will be bullied during their adolescence. And queer students are bullied a lot more than their cisgendered peers, or anyone who appears to be queer, labeled as queer. They tend to be harassed and bullied even more. But you know, people like her are more than happy to make the lives of these children even more unbearable. So here we go. More from the United States. Republican introduced Don't Say Trans bill to stop schools promoting transgenderism. And this is from Pink News. And this article is just from February 26. In a concerning move on Wednesday morning, that's the 25th of February, House Republicans introduced H.R. 7661, a sweeping federal bill that seeks to censor the existence of transgender individuals in public schools nationwide. So there's the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida. This is for trans people specifically, and it would be across the entirety of the United States. Introduced hours after Trump's State of the Union address, in which he took aim at schools secretly socially transitioning trans kids, the bill would ban all federally funded K through 12 schools from developing, implementing, facilitating, hosting, or promoting anything that includes sexually orientated material with sexually orientated material, being defined to include anything involving gender dysphoria or transgenderism. Dubbed the Don't Say Trans bill due to its similarity to Florida's 2022 Don't Say Gay law, this measure wouldn't just affect lessons in class that would mention trans people, such as sex education programs, but also extend to prohibiting related educational materials and support groups. This could include books mentioning trans people and any school clubs like GSA or support groups that discuss trans people. Additionally, due to the bill's vague language, it may also force trans teachers into the closet and prevent schools from affirming trans kids' identity out of fear of retribution. I believe with the Don't Say Gay bill too, there's also the type of like bounty and whatnot on it, where people could get sued for perceptions of going against it. It's a different type of genocide that's happening right now to trans folks in the United States. And I warned about it a long time ago, like when I first started doing these live streams, and I called it a genocide at that point, that it was starting. But people think you overuse that word sometimes when you just apply it to anything. But the United States is literally trying to wipe trans folks out of public life forcibly. That's what a genocide is. Many of them will die. Many of them will suffer torturous conditions. Many will be relocated. There will be forced family separations. Children will be taken away. And then for a multitude of reasons, if the parents are trans or if the child's trans and the parents are affirming that child, then that child might be taken away and forced into a family where they don't affirm. Yeah. And if we don't think it'll happen here in Canada, Alberta, Smith confirmed today her book bans will be expanding their reach to public libraries, and Dan Williams will be leading that charge. So Alberta is laying the groundwork for similar things to happen in Canada should there be a conservative government that gets in power, because she's been allowed to get away with her anti-trans legislation using every tool she has, notwithstanding clause. Scott Moe, another premier that has used the notwithstanding clause to harm trans children. And there's no crackdown from other provinces, from the federal government. there's no calling out. All of the liberals here are keeping quiet. They're not doing anything to push back against this in any meaningful way. So just like in the States, you have these conservative right-wingers that are being very vocal about hating trans folks and demonizing trans folks, and then you have the center liberals just saying nothing. It starts small, and that's how Canada has gotten away with a lot of this stuff, is just by starting small.
Premier, there are rumors swirling online, and granted, not all rumors are true, so I wanted to ask you if this is true or not. People are saying that your school book ban or school book restrictions that you put in place for libraries, school libraries, will soon be extended to public libraries as well. Is that happening, and if so, why?
No, there won't be any books removed from school libraries, but we have to understand that there are some libraries that are co-located with elementary schools, even though they're a public library. And so I think that you'll see some guidelines around how to make those books accessible to the older students,
to expand our book bans to other
that
places.
these graphic images, sexual images, are not available to younger people. So I'll let the minister talk a little bit more but when he releases it. It's actually a different minister, as part of the reason. Dan Williams is our Minister of Municipal Affairs, and so he's going to be able to detail that.
Premier, there are rumors.
But here we have a story in The Guardian. Rescuer who jumped into icy Chicago Lake to save baby. All I did was a human act. And the person who jumped into the lake was a trans man. So Lio, who is trans, says he hopes incidents show how human we are because all I did was a human act. And the article goes into how a very strong gust of wind took a stroller out of a woman's arms and she wasn't able to get after it fast enough, and he jumped into the water, or the frigid water, was in there for about 4 minutes, but was able to get the baby out with the stroller. The baby's fine. We shouldn't have to do these sorts of things in order to just be treated as human. You know, we shouldn't have to prove our worth to humanity. Like, he is using this as an example by saying, you know, we are human and we're all the same as everyone else. He said, who coincidentally was celebrating his 31st birthday on Tuesday, and we don't deserve the hate that we've gotten. Here, I'll toss this into the SandBox for anyone who is interested in reading up on the full story. I just hate how it's constantly, we have to be exceptional and prove ourselves as exceptional in order to be accepted. And the same thing happens a lot of the time with like immigrants or something of that sort. Like, the immigrant down the street saved a family from a burning home or something like that. And they use that as a moment to be like, see, we're human too, and stuff. And it's just, we shouldn't have to constantly prove our humanity or have to for just to be accepted. So this, I just thought, was an interesting tweet. I do remember a lot of this being talked about in other documents and stuff that I've read about. And this person was able to just put it into a nice, concise wording. That the gender critical movement is all wrong when it comes to biology. So Daniel here is saying, one of the strangest things about the gender critical movement is the level of science it relies on. Not advanced biology, not medicine, not endocrinology. This is the last thing I have to read, and I don't think I'm going to be able to pull it off. Or neuroscience, endocrinology. There we go. Basic school level biology, the kind most people last encountered around the age of 13 or 14. Chromosomes, XX and XY, a neat diagram, lesson over. That's where the learning stops. Everything that comes after is ignored. Developmental biology, prenatal hormone exposure, brain differentiation, receptor sensibility, intersex variations, neuroautonomy, the reality that human sex development is a process, not a single moment. Yeah, and there's about 16 different combinations of chromosomes that humans can have, not just XX and XY. So modern medicine does not treat sex as a light switch. It treats it as a cascade. Here's the part that is almost never explained in public debate. All human embryos start from the same template. In the early weeks of pregnancy, every fetus develops along a default pathway. That is why men have nipples. They form before sex oh my God, I can't speak anymore. You know this word. I know how to say it, just not right now. Differentiation begins. No mystery, no ideology, just timing. Genital development begins later, driven largely by hormones. If certain hormones are present, external genitalia masculinize. If not, they do not. The process happens in a specific window of pregnancy. Brain development related to identity, body mapping, and self-perception happens on a different timeline. It is also shaped by prenatal hormones, but not at the same moment as genital development. These processes are separate. They can align. They can also diverge. When they diverge, you get transgender people. This is not speculation. This is documented across endocrinology, developmental biology, and neuroscience. It is observed across cultures and throughout recorded history. It is why gender identity has a neurological basis and why attempts to suppress it constantly fail. The same biological reality that explains why men have nipples explains why trans people exist. Development does not happen all at once, and it does not always line up neatly. Gender-critical arguments depend on pretending none of this exists. They collapse complex humans' development into a primary school diagram and then insist anything beyond it is fantasy. That is why their explanations feel so confident and so shallow at the same time. I think that's the Dunning-Kruger. The less you know about something, the more confident you tend to be about it because you don't know all the things you don't know, type thing. They are arguing from a stopping point, not a starting point, from what they were taught before the science moved on. Medicine has moved on. Biology has moved on. The evidence is not new. What is new is how loudly people are insisting on staying behind. When people finally see the timelines laid out side by side, early fetal development, genital differentiation, later brain differentiation, the reaction is almost always the same. Oh, I didn't know that. And once you know it, the idea that trans people are pretending or ideological stops making sense. This is not a belief, it is biology playing out over time. You cannot argue human development back into a worksheet. So trans women are biologically women, especially after hormones. That's why some people push back against, saying biologically male or biologically female. I tend to just go with gender assigned at birth because really all that is happening at that moment is the doctor is looking to see if you have a penis or a vagina. That is it. They're not doing blood work. They're not checking your chromosomes. They're not doing brain scans. They are simply just looking at your genitalia. And so, vagina, it's a girl. Penis, it's a boy. That's it. That is so surface level. And then intersex babies as well. And it used to be that they were then surgery was done on these babies against their will, and the doctors and the parents would basically pick a gender, whichever one they thought maybe the baby was more leaning towards or whatever. They got to determine what genitalia that baby would then have, instead of letting that child grow up and determine if they want the surgeries at all. So yeah, that is gender assigned at birth is what I tend to go for, as opposed to biologically female or biologically male. The only time that is relevant is for things like hormone therapy or treatment, or certain diseases that tend to affect different genders in different ways. But you know, for specific medical reasons, that's the only time that I would refer to biologically male or female. But yeah. Anyway. Closing all of these windows. So that was it for the docket. I have 2 YouTube videos that I thought we could just go over to relax. One is about massive calamity potentially happening in BC. It's about earthquakes. That's, you know, physical geography, special interest of mine. And one video I just saw before stream where I'm like, it's about fucking time. And that was a pun. So before we do that, to unwind, go and check the SandBox. Oh, let's see. Okay, I think I saw this stuff here. Yes, please subscribe to my new YouTube channel, Sandy Lovis. I'll put up new videos soon, hopefully. I get so distracted with the TYT video. I was working on it today. Went down the rabbit hole and found a Kyle Klinsky and Crystal Ball video with Jank from June of last year. And I'm like, damn it, I have to rewatch that. Initially, that wasn't even included in my playlist because I didn't clip anything from it. I didn't find anything relevant, but I want to rewatch it because I'm curious, because they were talking about the hypotheticalness of the United States attacking Iran and what that could mean. Ooh, here's something I can watch afterwards in my recommends. Documentary on mega quakes. I'll watch that documentary to unwind too. The Wild West. My battles with the radical left have left me scarred and deformed, but I assure you, my resolve has never been stronger. I can't do the voice. I can't do the voice. Let's see. Atticus among us. Why do kangaroos take this defamation? Yeah. Grand Theft Autobot. Courts are supposed to fight crime according to Pierre Polypocket? Apparently. That's the thing. Conservatives are just really mad when courts don't rule in their bigoted favor. Let's see. Let's see. I got a what the fuck? Some Nazi shit. I'm not entirely sure. I'm catching up. I'm a bit behind. Oh, talking about Kansas. Okay. Groove Dragon, Kansas trans people, please come to Colorado. We have put LGBTQ rights into our Constitution. I would imagine that there are some funds being set up for people who need to flee their states. So people, please look into that. If you're in a safe state, to see if there's any funds that maybe you can donate to help get people in hostile states out of them, because it takes a lot of money and resources to move, and you need a lot of support, you know, to find a new job and all of that sort of stuff. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Kansas starts with 3 Ks now. Looney Tunes, the government leaders are pussies to stand up for trans people. All that talk about, you know, Kamala Harris and the they, them. I watched Emma on UpScrolled, and she talked about that ad a lot and how it really had nothing to do with trans people, and it was just reinforcing that Donald Trump was for the average person, not the elitists and stuff. She did a good job breaking that down if you want to watch UpScrolled. Because the reality is, Kamala Harris wasn't supporting trans folks. She wasn't saying dick all about trans folks. Hello, Morbius. Welcome to the SandBox. Grand Theft Autobot. I have a question for Kansas. Why are you being so bashy? Grand Theft Autobot. That bills is something happened when Sandy's kitties while I was gone. You might not know about Frodo. He passed away last month. Well, I guess 2 months ago. Yeah. Ooh, I can't think about that right now. I'm already in an emotional state. I'm still waiting to get his ashes back. It's been way too long. They originally told me it would be 1 week, but now they're saying it would be 8 weeks from the time I dropped him off, and it's just, it's ripping me apart not having him here. I was really hoping that after the surgery, he had surgery in November, and he was healing from it just fine. The stitches on his neck, they were healing. He was growing his fur back. I was really hoping that it was a benign tumor, but it wasn't. It was just the surface of something more, but I had to do a fundraiser for that surgery, because if there was any chance that it was just benign and he would still have years left, I needed that. Boku, what TOIT essay? Oh, have you not heard me talk about it? I've been working on it for over a year. For over a year. Just, it all sparked with this idea of somebody not liking it when people were being bullied or bullying like Anna, or you know, spreading lies about her and all that sort of stuff. And then it kind of went to, if you don't like bullying and people who spread lies, then why are you supporting Cenk and Anna? And wow, it blew up after that. And there's so much work going into it, and so many video clips. Just example after example of how Cenk and Anna have turned on people who used to be friends, audience members, people who worked at TYT, former co-hosts and colleagues. And I'm not doing this for the sake of drama. Like there's reasons why I'm doing this. And it's to try to help unite the left, oddly enough. Because a lot of what Cenk and Anna are doing are fracturing the left. And, you know, I want to reach out to TYT viewers because I don't like the division in the audiences, but it's just, there's so much that Cenk and Anna, that I have clips that show that they are provably wrong on a lot of things and flat out lying about some things. And the damage that they're doing is just, I can't keep quiet on it. There's just so much damage, in particular to trans folks. I went into that little side rant because I have a montage of Jank being upset about surgeries and stuff of that sort, and being outraged that the hypothetical, undocumented person who snuck across the border is getting gender-affirming care in prison, and how outraged he was that his taxpayer dollars should be going towards that. It's an actual thing. The thing is that if all you do is watch TYT, you don't know a lot of this, because Jank and Anna tend to say this on other shows, when they go on other shows. So for a lot of people who just watch TYT, you don't see this other side of them. I've seen it. The amount of times that he says that trans people in prison, if they're undocumented, shouldn't get any health care to affirm their gender. So this is what he wants. The amount of times that they still insist we're trying to force the word birthing person on people. The only two people I hear use that word anymore are Jank and Anna. But he has told millions of people that this is something that we are militantly enforcing. That we're trying to erase the word woman and replace it with birthing person. When he knows that's wrong, because that's the only conversation I had with Jank, was to tell him that wasn't a thing, that we weren't trying to erase the word woman. But just example after example of how they used to have friends on the left and how viciously they've turned on them. But then there's people on the right that they used to be hard against, that they're now cozying up with. It's a massive project. TYT, so Boku, also who's TYT? So I used to work with Rebel HQ, which was a branch of TYT. So TYT, the Young Turks, they profess to be the largest online progressive news network. They are the largest of the left, and they have other shows that are still part of the network that are very good, as in John and the Damage Report. I can't think of any other at this point. And they used to be a lot more progressive. They used in what they were spewing in their thoughts and their leftist stuff, but they've just done a complete 180 on so many things. Like, they helped to get AOC elected. The Justice Democrats, they helped start that. So they used to be on the right side of a lot of issues, and they've just, over the past few years in particular, have done a drastic change, but they still claim to be on the left and representing the left. So the amount of damage that they're doing is just absolutely astronomical to the movement. So yeah, but they still have over 6 million subscribers to their main YouTube channel. They're still getting money from their audience. Jank is calling Sam a grifter. A low-rent grifter still, and accusing Sam of being a liar. Sort of stuff. They used to support one another. Emma used to work at TYT. She was the one that started the Rebel HQ channel that I ended up working at. She was a rising star at TYT. It's where she got her start, but yeah. It's going to be a long ass essays because I've had to, I need to break them up. Ain't no one sitting down for an 8-hour long essay. It's not happening. Groove Dragon suit challenges Kansas law that revoked trans people's updated IDs Days ago, the ACLU has filed a lawsuit challenging new anti-transgender law in Kansas that includes a bathroom bill and ban on gender marker changes. But what the article was saying that even though this is going through as of now, they still have to abide by changing their ID and everything. This doesn't put a hold on what they're doing, so they still have to abide by the bathroom bill and the license and stuff. Boku, yes. Black people in white men's prison are absolutely brutalized. The Wild West, Epstein was also a transphobe. This is Epstein World Agenda. The Wild West, I want my own country, LGBTQ people. Welcome, no conservatives allowed. If you're into the X-Men cartoon, we need a Genosha. That's what we need. We need our own island, a Genosha. A haven where we can just go and be who we are. So Group Dragon, our Spot KC is an LGBTQ plus community organization in Kansas City that operates Lionhouse, a transitional housing space aimed at fighting LGBTQ plus homelessness. It also provides hot meals to food insecure people and helps organize the Outskirts Festival series. Donations are 51c3 tax deductible. The Center of Wichita runs support groups including Q Family Connection, a targeted group for LGBTQ plus youth and their families, and hosts meeting spaces for other LGBTQ plus groups in downtown Wichita. The organization also maintains the Sally M. Morose Library on site. Donations are also tax deductible, and supporters can also give monthly through Patreon. Hello, Rusty Y8, or I still don't know how I'm supposed to say your name. Let's see. Have a good night, Group Dragon. Let's see. Oops. Jumped. Where was I? Oh, it's old school Majority Report logo on my t-shirt. They're the only ones, well, no, I've bought merch from the Letter Hack, but it's the Letter Hack and Majority Report are the only two that I've bought merch from. And they were like birthday gifts to myself, you know. The money that I would save up would be to buy, you know, Majority Report stuff. Let's see. 8 weeks is too long to get him back. John Martinez, it is impossible to bully fascists, only tell the truth about them. You can't bully something that forsakes their humanity. Reciator, Anna Kasparian is closer to Tucker than Emma Vigeland. Oh, by a lot, by a lot. Looney Tunes, if you can't reach out to the TYT audiences, you can just troll the main channel and tell Jank and Anna to go fuck themselves. Oops. Hermeteorologist, do they still use that? Yeah, it still gets brought up when they go on other shows. And they'll talk about it, and Anna will do the whole woe is me, I just did one innocent tweet. It was supposed to be nothing, and they blew up, and Jank will bring it up too. The Wild West. I'm Magneto, LOL. LMAO. Yeah. Sam and Emma are good. Let's see. Eater. I think people are. It's a rusty. Yeah, we don't know what the Y8 are. Oh, YouTube added the Y8R. That's weird. Yeah, I just want to whine a little. Let's watch about calamity in BC, and then a video, another short video of like, it's about fucking time. Yeah.
Up until very recently, we thought we understood the earthquake risk here on the West Coast pretty well. You know, numerous small quakes, the occasional damaging shallow one, and the ominous...
This music better not get me in trouble.
This big one, that magnitude 9.0 megathrust we know is coming one day. But new data paints a different picture, one that could rewrite the tsunami and earthquake risk for the south coast of BC. Scientists have discovered a massive tear underground.
Ooh, a fault line.
A sign that the situation is way more complicated than we thought. Here's what we got right. Big picture. The Pacific Ocean plate is moving at about the speed fingernails grow.
I forgot there was so much music in the background of this. I really hope that YouTube isn't like, you can't use it even though they did.
Towards the North American plate. The ocean plate is dense, so it...
Actually, why don't I just do this to be safe? And then mute this. So, grows towards the North American plate. The ocean plate is dense, so it dives under the lighter continental plate, but nothing underground is smooth sailing. Things get stuck and pressure builds. We know what we're due for that megathrust earthquake sometime in the next 100 years. This is 1,000-kilometer stretch from Northern California to Vancouver Island is essentially locked and loaded, and here's where things get super interesting and complicated. So megathrust earthquake, it's because of this. So you have one plate going under another plate, but then it gets snagged like this. So you see it goes like this, and it starts because you have this one going under, and then it kind of gets stuck, and it goes like that. And then all of a sudden the pressure builds and builds and snap. That's what that does. And they cause the biggest tsunamis, because if you have a fault that just goes like this, they're just sliding past each other. Even if that happens under the water, the likelihood of a tsunami happening from that, it's not a thing. But when you have a subduction earthquake, lifts up all that water, you got a tsunami. And so if I was ever in Vancouver, and renting a hotel room or something like that, I'd want to make sure I'm on the 8th floor or higher, because those are some massive tsunamis that, and historically there's evidence of some mega tsunamis that have happened in that area. Some indigenous stories that have been passed down to the generation through spoken word and stuff, plus investigation, like geological investigation, where you can see the scarring on the stones and stuff like that, showing some massive tsunamis that have hit that area. And then there were the orphan tsunamis that would hit Japan. So an orphan tsunami was a tsunami that wasn't registered with an earthquake, because they kept pretty good records about that sort of thing in Japan. And so every now and then they'd be hit with a tsunami, but there'd be no correlating earthquake that they knew of. That's because it happened here. That's because it happened on this coast, and the tsunami traveled across the ocean and hit Japan, so they wouldn't have felt the earthquake. Anyway. Oh, interesting that the ocean plate is getting pushed under is not one solid place. Look at this. It's broken into sections moving at different rates, and its northern end near Vancouver Island, it's a bit of a three-way tug-of-war. Here, an ocean ridge is pumping out brand new ocean crust right next to the continent. This new plate being born is still hot and young and fresh and buoyant. It's so dirty. Still young and fresh and buoyant. It's getting to the point where the explorer plate isn't dense enough to sink anymore. It's like trying to push a soccer ball underwater. So this is the whole section is essentially shutting down, breaking off from the rest of the subduction zone. The part that is not been subducted yet, but is close to North America, is like I don't want to be pulled down by the rest of the plate, and it starts to break apart. And that's when what we call a tear in the slab, or slab tear. Just like you could see a tear in a piece of paper if you were to shred that. Scientists have finally imaged this tear, and the Nuktuk fault is where the rip is happening. One day this whole section will stop subducting completely and just slide by slide with us instead. The transformation boundary is almost like scissors that are cutting through the plate and allowing that one segment to stop subduction. In essence, on longer time scales, the Cascadia subduction zone is shrinking. Whoa, 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 whoa. But this is the Canadian section. You start speaking just too fast there. The Canadian section, the one I've been obsessed with, trying to get you to get your earthquake kit ready for. Does this mean the big one is canceled for us? No, not exactly. There's a lot to still figure out, but it does mean that the big one might not be one clean break and have different boundaries than we thought. Now that we know that if there was future earthquakes in the region, then we can look at how that rupture propagates through this area and has much better understanding of like boundaries and earthquakes, like how they sense these boundaries, and they either propagate through the continuing earthquake and making it big and stopping their smaller blah. I am not good at reading right now. It's been a long reading. You know what, though? I'm thinking of this whole thing is good. It's good thing. The more detail we know about what's happening under our feet, the more specific our tsunami modeling and ground-shaking risk maps can be, something scientists from both sides of the border are working on as we speak. I'm not so sure about the United States anymore. They seem to be canceling funding to a lot of these sorts of things. Anyway. Oh, is that it? That's it. I want to watch this next, but not on stream. The Pacific Northwest Megaquake full episode X-rayed Earth on Nat Geo Animals. Sure, earthquakes on Nat Geo Animals. But the other YouTube video, oh, I'm in the wrong screen. This screen. The other YouTube video that I wanted to watch is this one. It's about time.
When we change our clocks twice a year, it creates all kinds of problems. Kids get up at the same time, even though the clock's changed. Dogs get up. at the same time, even though the clock's changed. Parents lose sleep, kids lose sleep, and even people without kids or parents, they're losing an hour of sleep, and they're getting less sleep. And so what we see is more car accidents and people not feeling well, and impacts that have a huge unnecessary impact on the lives of British Columbia. And we're getting very close to another time change. In the second week of March, we change our clocks to spring forward another hour, which means you get actually an hour less sleep at home. So that's why when we did a survey, now it's more than 6 years ago, can you believe it? More than 200,000 British Columbians wrote in and said, please, can we stop changing the clocks? We'd like to stay on permanent daylight savings time. Well, we passed a law that said we can stop changing the clocks, but we said we're going to wait. We're going to wait for our friends down the west coast of the United States in California, Oregon, and Washington. And we're all going to do it together. And we waited, and we waited, and we waited. And they passed laws, and they said, we'd like to stop changing our clocks too. And they said, all we have to do is get the Congress to agree. And so then we waited for the Congress in the United States, and we waited, and they never changed it. But guess what? Today, I'm here to announce that we are done waiting. British Columbia is going to change our clocks just one more time, and then never again.
We're gonna celebrate one more. All right, we're gonna sing. One more time, we're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah, all right, start the dancing. One more time, we're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah, all right, we'll start the dancing. One more time, we're gonna...
Big round of applause.
I had to mute it there because they were playing a dance song.
That was awesome.
That's all I really wanted to show. Basically, yeah, it's about fucking time because you needed one person to start, one province to start. That's it. You just knew because all the provinces are saying it, and I get so fed up every time daylight savings comes around and everyone bitches about it and everyone says that this shouldn't be a thing anymore and that we should stop it, but when the other people do it. So finally, BC has done it, and this is going to have a cascade effect, kind of like those earthquakes. And soon, hopefully by next year, we aren't doing that here anymore. In Ontario as well. That it just took one person, one province to finally just say, you know what, fuck it. We hate it. We're going to get rid of it. We shouldn't have daylight savings anymore. It's stupid. We don't need it. It is so annoying. And it's one of those frustrating things. It's like, just do it already. Like every twice a year. Clockwork, you could say. There's all this discourse about why are we still doing this? We don't need to do this. It's actually a pain. It actually causes discomfort. It causes car accidents. Actually, it does because people get less sleep, so there's more accidents next day. Time to get rid of it. It's an actual song. Latino Mufuni. Welcome to the SandBox. Daft Punk. One more time, we're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah, all right, start the dancing. One more time, you're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah, all right, we'll start the dancing. Just checking the SandBox. And then I'll be calling it a night. Because I still need to watch Majority Report because I haven't watched it today because I was working on my essay. And so I'll watch it and relax by them covering the war in Iran. Play some games. And then I might watch a documentary on the big mega earthquakes because I find that stuff interesting. Oh, did I get a raid? I didn't see the thing pop off. But I did see Vizora in the sandbox. Hello, welcome. Was this a raid? Thank you. Everyone go check out her channel. It's pretty early there, isn't it? Is it 12 hours? It's not 12 hours difference. Ah! That felt weird, unexpected. When all of a sudden I feel on the side of me. Come on. You freak me out like that. You gotta, when you unexpectedly push my shoulder and didn't hear you sneak in the room, you gotta show people that I'm not just losing my mind. There we go. Kitty cat. Oh, big kitty. There we go. There we go. Boku, been watching the volcanoes in the Philippines too. Yeah, I watched volcano footage too. I used to know a lot more and could tell you like every type of volcano and how they act and stuff, but I haven't been rewatching a lot of these documentaries, and I really want to actually get back into it. Natural disasters like physical geography used to be my special interest, and I want it to be my special interest again because I really find it fascinating. As I get cat fur up my nose. Oh. But thank you so much for the raid. Super appreciate it. Yes, Vizora is also a part of this space. Ooh. I don't know if you can hear him purr or not. I don't see the bars, so it doesn't look like you can hear him purr. Springtime is coming. You can tell when the cats start shedding like crazy. Ugh. The Wild West, there really is something about us that makes us Canadians LOL. Every teacher I had talked like this guy. I had talked like this guy. Oh, for those who don't know, that was the premier of British Columbia, David Eby. John Martinez, what about New York? Well, you see, when it came to daylight savings, Ontario had that agreement with New York. It's like, well, if you do it, we'll do it. It's like, just do it. Just do it. Hello, Glitchmaster. Welcome to the sandbox. I'm getting ready to sign off. Yes, it's you. Come here. Come. Kitty, super cool. You're purring away. So, there we go. Ugh. Oh my gosh, cat. I need to brush you off. I don't know the time difference between here and Australia. I don't know if it's 12 hours or if it's a different amount of hours. But I knew she's in Australia. Jet, Daft Punk has been releasing new videos? What? Around the world, around the world. My favorite song from them was Daft Punk. But you can't really sing along with it because there's no lyrics. Yeah. Well, there's Around the World and Daft Punk, and I think those were like the big ones. Boku. This is a Bengal mix. I did not realize that when I adopted him from the pet rescue. I just thought he was a pretty tabby. But he's a Bengal mix, and he's a bit of a handful. Yes, he does like belly rubs. Glitchmaster likes my earrings. Little Saturns. Oops, jumped. Where was I? Boku, the volcanoes in the Philippines are YouTube live streamed, by the way. John Martinez, if a cat lets you rub its belly, it has complete and absolute trust in you. Also those paws, yes. Big paws. Ooh, 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 ooh. Hermatologist and long-haired usually. This cat in particular sheds more than any other cat that I've had. The Wild West, I love the paws up Superman style. Yeah. Super kitty. Boku, okay, the first words of the only Daft Punk song I love are Last Night I Had a Dream About You. That's not Daft Punk. That's, another band that I used to really like. Oh. Oh, is it Daft Punk? I'm thinking of a different group, I think. Last Night I Had a Dream About You. Okay, yeah, no, they did one. I'm thinking of a different group that also has the links, the lyrics. Last Night I Had a Dream About You. Well, it's not the chorus, I think. Star something. Song. Let's see. But yeah, I guess they have one. I'm thinking of a different group, and they also have the lyrics "Last night I had a dream about you," but it's a different group, I think. It could be the same one. I don't know. I have a hard time with memory recall with these sorts of things, but I think they were part of a different group that had like star in their name or something like that. Ugh. I can't do these recall things. John Martinez Iran just attacked the U.S. Embassy in Saudi Arabia. Jet, yeah, they officially made a fan music video in live action and released it last week. Cool. A Bengal mix. So a Bengal is a type of cat, and he's a mix of a Bengal. And a Bengal is a mix of a cat. So, there's another group that I used to listen to. And I think they had Star in the name, and they did that song and a different song. And the song started off with the lyrics, "Last night I had a dream about you," but I don't think it was a Daft Punk song. Yeah, I've seen some volcano streamings, Boku, and yeah, really good high quality. I've also seen ones where a drone has gone right in and basically fell in because it melted. Okay, let me just check YouTube. Anyone is... Oh, for people who are curious, this is the video that I need.
The amount of time
We
that
could
we
do this
have.
for 4 hours if we had the time.
I'm sure we could, and it would.
Are you insane? Heated debate explodes with Jan Cougar and about MAGA. But they're also talking about, oh, Iran isn't going to, if Iran attacks, will the base support Donald Trump and blah, blah, blah. And the truth is, it don't matter if the base supports Donald Trump in this. Trump doesn't care. He does not care. Okay. Oh, am I passing you off too? Anyone live right now? That I know, I'm familiar with? I'm seeing in that video from Rachel Gilmore about Davos and Mark Carney tricking us, and I really think I should clip what I said when Mark Carney did the Davos speech, because I was not. I called bullshit on it from the instant it started. From the instant I heard it, I knew it was bullshit. None of the channels that I regularly watch are live right now. Some channel I never heard of is live. Let's talk about Soldier Speaks Out, sending comments on Anna Kasparian debate on a channel called Why I Hate Politics is live, but never heard of them before. Okay, I'm not seeing anything live. You know, Abernathy, you're very heavy. to be falling asleep on my legs like this. I wasn't planning on a long stream tonight. I just wanted to cover the stuff that I didn't get a chance to cover yesterday. So I'll be on this space Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. I'm sorry, sweetie, you gotta move. Oh. Don't know what I'm talking about yet, so let me know what you'd be interested in hearing me talk about. Working away on my TYT essays. I desperately want to get them done and out by the end of the month. I don't say that I'm going to do that, that I want to. I'm not giving a time on it. I'm not. But thank you everyone for coming out on this Monday live stream. Thank you, mods, for keeping the sandbox clean of turds. Thank you to everyone who has helped out financially. Super appreciate it when you can. But also just liking and subscribing and all that sort of stuff super helps out. Engaging in the sandbox helps out, and that doesn't cost a thing. Check out my other YouTube channel, Sandy Lovis. I'll try to get more content on there soon. By more content, I mean old content from this channel, but you know what I mean. So I can start building that. Yeah. Let's see. And yeah, just thank you everyone who has helped keep my channel going. I wouldn't have been able to do it without you. Check out my Amazon wish list if you can. All of that. And also, Boku, why don't we just all get to watch Mega Quakes with you live? Probably because National Geographic would nuke my channel if I did. And yeah, next news live stream Sunday. If massive news drops between now and then, I might try to do a live stream. I just know I can't Friday evening. I'm busy. And Saturday I'm busy during the day. So who knows? Who knows? Anyway. All of this. Buy my book. It's the start of a new month. I'd like to see at least one sale. I can't wait to get... I finally figured out their naming conventions. How the vampires name themselves. Because in this book, they only refer to their first names for the most part. For the human world. So, their names are usually in 3 parts, but they start off with just one. So they have the given name. And the given name is given to the vampire when they're found as a baby or a child. And it's the vampire who finds them gets to give them a name. And so then that's their vampirish name. And so we don't really hear their vampirish names because it's a name in their language. And I don't know what their language quite looks like yet. I have visualizations of it, but I don't know how to pronounce it. So they have their vampirish name that's given to them. And then when they mature and they get matched up with a mentor, their second name is the given name of their mentor. And that's also a time when they can choose a name. So then that's when they get 3 names. And often, if they remember their human name, they quite often choose that as their chosen name, or they choose something else. But that name moves around a lot. And so they can change it over the years, their chosen name. That's very flexible. But then their given name at finding and their mentor's given name, that becomes their 2-part name. That's their name that they don't change. Anyway, buy my fucking book. I can't wait to talk about it more. I need to have like a live stream where it's just all spoilers about the book so that I can talk about it and brainstorm and all of that sort of stuff. Anyway. Yeah. I'm shutting down. I'm shutting down. So, Where is it? Where? It's this one. It's this one. Salut, à la prochaine. Thank you for watching and stay tuned. I'm Sandy, wishing your tomorrow is better than your today.